Show me. There you go. That shows me I'm recording. All right, Illustrator. So we open up Illustrator. All right, so now the first, come on. There we go. All right, this is, I didn't download this thing yet, so let me do this.
Okay.
So the first thing I'm going to do is get this on my computer, scan. Okay.
Just opening up Illustrator of mine. What's this? Hello? Hello?
Come on, what's the deal? Let's see here. Excuse me. Come on. What's the matter with this thing?
Right side?
I don't know.
Bacon.
Here it goes. Here we go. Scan. It's the Moody. Sometimes Moody. There's your art. I got it now. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to scan your art. Let me open this art up so we can talk basically about the art. This is the most important thing, in my opinion, for you. Okay, so you get this piece of art here. Now, what this is right now, it's a bitmap. Okay, and a bitmap is essentially a grid of pixels. In this particular case, since it's primarily a black and white piece of art, there are just black and white pixels. Okay, the problem with this is it's what's known as resolution dependent. You can't make it bigger, can't make it smaller. Okay, well, you can make it smaller, but you can't make it bigger. And it has all of these pixels in here. So if you want to work on any part of this, okay, it becomes difficult because you have to go in and you have to go to Photoshop and you have to select this stuff. It just doesn't work in Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator has the ability to take this and turn it into vector art. Now, what vector art means to you is that you've got a white area and you've got a black area. Illustrator has the capacity to open this image up and look at the image and extract out all the black and turn it into vector line art. So now you end up with something that all this black art becomes activated and you actually can do something with it.
It's almost like it can mold it to what you want to do.
It doesn't mold it, but what it does is it converts it to anchor points and line segments.
These are all the words.
Yeah, and it's going to be 300 DPI, correct? Which is
it could be whatever DPI you need it to be ultimately in the end. But right now what you're doing is you're taking a piece of art like this and you're converting that piece of art into vectors. Now, here's how it works. You have, I got a pen. I have a pen. You got a pen anywhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's easier for me to be able to point at this because my things are so. So if you take a look at this, you've got that flagpole. You got that flag. Now, that flag, what's going to happen is you're going to get that flag and that little dot up there are all going to render, okay? Okay, that's good. They're all going to render. This is actually lighter. They're all going to render. And what you're going to get is you're going to get that post and you're going to get that outline and you're going to get that white area in the middle, which you can actually color, okay? It's a separate element. Right now, this is all just a flat bitmap. And the only way that you can do anything with this, I mean, you really are limited in what you could do in Illustrator. This goes into Photoshop. But the problem with Photoshop is you can't recolor it. You can't do anything with it. So, you know, I don't know whether you're going to set this up so people can recolor it or whether you're going to just recolor it the way you want, and that's it. That makes the most logical sense.
He's going to color it several times over. He might make the same building pink, green, blue.
Well, but the point I'm making is that once you turn this into a piece of vector art, you can spend the rest of your life recoloring this thing. It's always, as long as you got that original file, you're good to go. Okay? The one thing that's incredibly important for you to know is you always, when you're working with Adobe Illustrator and you're converting images like this, you always want to make sure that you try to close everything off. Okay, now what am I talking about? All right, you see this area in the front there? You see how it's actually all enclosed with line? Okay, you see those steps? See how they're all enclosed with line? All of this is enclosed. There are no open ends. Now, you see this border that you got around here? They're open. They're open. So this area in here, Harding, underneath that text, is going to be part of this right there. Okay? So if that's what you want, you're cool. because you can then color these things. But if you wanted that harding area behind it to be a different
The
color,
lines would have to connect.
they would have to connect. You have to be very careful when you do your drawings to make sure that, because here's the thing, like I'll give you an example. If this panel over here, you see this one little panel up there?
Mhm.
If that didn't connect, let's say you just had it to where it was almost connecting, but it didn't quite touch.
Mhm.
When we convert that, what's going to happen is that area is going to flood out into the background and connect.
Yeah, he said that on Art Studio.
Yeah.
does that.
So if
All
you
right.
close it and I wanted to color that
We've
yellow,
had that
the whole thing would
before.
go yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
and,
not-
I
and
wasn't
yeah,
connected.
and you'd have to do extra work to do it. So what I'm saying to you is that if you know these things,
Mhm.
you can plan ahead to go in and do this stuff and do it right the first time. That's really what you want to do.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm going to the trouble of explaining it to you, just so that you absolutely know.
Perfect.
All right? Other than that, I mean, what I would do, I will show you, I'll show you some clip art here real quick. All right, so I have this nature thing. Or actually, you know what? Let me go back and show you the MailChimp. So here's MailChimp, all right?
Mhm.
This is a piece of line art I got from the web. It's MailChimp. Now, I needed to know what MailChimp looked like. So I went and I also found this. Now, there's the MailChimp. That's what he looks like.
Mhm.
So what I have to do is I have to convert the black and white into vector shapes so that I can make MailChimp look like that. Now, this is what I did just as a demonstration. I'm going to open it up and show you. I think this is the wrong one. Let me see. This might be no, that's the right one. You see how that is? Watch this. I'm going to click on this. You see?
Uh-huh.
Each one of those are a piece of vector art that I created to make MailChimp look like that. Now, when I got this, some of these elements didn't exist. I had to draw them in. But the basis of and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me go file, open, I'll open another one. And that is my other MailChimp. Let's go to clip art. Let's go to MailChimp.
Are there some things, I'm thinking there are, like is there a basic image of a round clock with all the numbers on it that he could use and just manipulate and make different colors and stuff like that?
I'm sure he could find one. I don't exactly know
Like
where.
with like if you had like stock images that were.
There are stock images, but you would have to pay it. The
Pay,
problem
right.
with the stock images, though, is don't forget he's using it, but everybody else is using it too.
Right.
You know.
I'm
So
talking about like I just noticed that some people when they make their clip art for certain things, like they said, like let's say they want to make a wine bottle,
Mhm.
they'll just import a wine bottle, then they'll make it their own. Like,
what if you want to see how to make a really cool wine bottle? In one of our future lessons, I'll show you
no,
how to
I
do
really
it.
don't. I'm just using that.
Yeah.
As an
Well,
example.
I'm saying that there are all kinds of things that you can do. If you go to my website, wrsdesign.com, if you take a look at my website, you're going to see a bunch of rendered objects. They're like felt tip pens, Sharpies, there are pencils, there are X-Acto knives, there are markers, there are tablets, there are little cell phones. If you take a look at them, they all look like they're photographs. They're not photographs. They're all done in Adobe Illustrator as vector arts. So, I mean, that'll give you an idea of how complex you can go with this. It's really just a matter of getting used to, getting comfortable with this program. Once you become comfortable with this program, you are going to go nuts because you're going to love it. I have to tell you right now, I love this program. And if you do this work and you're into this work, once you get really comfortable with this, the sky's the limit. You're going to have a ball because you're going to be like master of your environment. You're going to be able to figure out exactly how you want to do everything. If you see something like MailChimp, you're going to know exactly what you need, or your art, if you have something. And what I would do, if you can, and I don't know whether you need to because it's actually your own art. In MailChimp, I got the color one and I got the black and white one. So I could copy the black and white one and use the color one as a reference. But you probably don't need that because you're creating this.
Yeah.
And you had an idea where you're going with it.
Sometimes I use actual photographs and
Like
just
copies.
that I do it by hand, but
Mhm.
I just usually do that as a reference point.
Yeah.
I create
Yeah,
it
and you
myself.
still go in and do the coloration on your own. Just remember, see, and this is another really good example of this. Just remember, when you do this, make sure everything's closed off. See, you see how that mouth right there connects with this face? That's not good, except that in reality, MailChimp's mouth, his teeth are the same color as that. And that's probably why they did it that way. If they wanted that mouth to be white, if I wanted that mouth to be white now.
You have to close that.
Yeah, either that or I'd have to go in there and I'd have to create that. All right, now I did this, if you take a look on some of those objects. This object here, look at, this is what I got. I didn't, this is actually this is the actual rendered object. So you see a lot of this stuff doesn't come up. So all of this can come up and all of this I can color. But stuff like his little ear there, see that part of the hat? This black area here, this part of his face, this part of his nose, that there, and this, none of that exists. I had to actually go in there and draw that. So one of the things that you want to do is you want to learn how to use the pen tool very quickly. Right. It's very important to get to work with the pen tool. There's a learning curve involved in it. It will take a little while, but it is not something that is impossible to learn. And if you're working on stuff that you really enjoy, you'll find that it goes a lot quicker. The other thing that you need to know is, aside from the pen tool, here's your pen tool right here. And I'm just talking broadly right now about some stuff. You got the pen tool, the add anchor, the delete anchor, and the convert anchor, okay? Each one of them, this is actually what you draw with. These are modifiers. They enable you to put anchor points in so that you can, add anchor points and do things like move shapes a little bit. You can remove anchor points, converting something to something else by doing that. And this here anchor point tool, it allows you, there are two different types of anchor points. There's sort of a corner point and then there's a smooth point. This gives you the ability to take either one and convert it to the other or modify it. Okay. So those are those tools. You'll get used to them in time. There's a line tool where you can just draw straight lines. There's this tool here, which is a curvature tool, which I never use. It's just something that I don't need.
So it's almost like you use what? You don't use everything. You use certain things.
These are your selection tools. I don't ever use this. I don't ever use this. I use this constantly because you have to have this engaged in order to do things like select objects and stuff. Okay. This is what's known as the direct selection tool and the group selection tool. The difference between the direct selection tool and the group selection tool is the direct selection tool will allow you to choose an individual anchor point. Right. Okay, so this hat brim is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 anchor points. You see them? Those little blue things are anchor points. If I take this tool, I can come over here and I can click on that anchor point right there. And I can modify just that one anchor point. See? Now, the rest of those anchor points don't get messed with. So if I need to adapt things, I can go in and I can select an individual point and I can adapt it any way that I want. So I'm going to go Control Z to go back because I don't want to mess that up. Now, this is a different story. What this one does, I'll show you. All right, so I got this whole drawing here. I'm going to select the whole thing. And I don't want this selected. And I want to go Object, Group. So now I've grouped this object. What does that mean? That means that everything in here has been selected at one time and it's all grouped together. When I click on this, instead of getting an individual part, I get the whole thing.
So that's okay.
So now that I have this thing grouped like this, it'll always stay together. All right. So what I want to do is if I want to keep this group so I can move around, and your images will ultimately have multiple parts, so you're going to ultimately at some point want to group it.
Yeah, I know that's what she really wants. I mean, she wants to group things.
Yeah, well, it makes sense because this way it's all together. So let's say, for instance, that I decide that, see that little thing right there, that little hair, that thing's out of place. Okay, so I got to fix that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get this is grouped. I'm going to get the group selection tool, and I'm going to come in here. I'm going to click on this guy right here, if I can. There you go. See, I got him. And I'm going to go Object, Arrange, bring the front. Come on, you. There. See how I just moved it to the front? Okay. So, I mean, you can do things like that. Like, for instance, if I wanted that M to be a different color, okay, I could come in here and I could double click on my color, and I could just drag my slider down to there, and I could hit OK. And now it's a different color, okay? So that's kind of how this whole thing works. So this tool and this tool will be very important for you. Don't even worry about them. Just focus on these guys right here. Okay. These are the ones that are most important. The irregular selection tool, and what the irregular selection tool does is nothing more than select things. Now that's all selected because it's grouped. I can move it around. There's my little bitmap. That's what I used to color him. I selected that and moved it. That's all this does. These two guys right here. Oh, and by the way, I just want to point out to you, I did that and I might not have said anything. When you click, see the little triangle at the bottom there? Okay, so the triangle at the bottom tells you that there are nested tools, more than one tool.
All right.
So if you click on this, you'll see it has the direct selection tool, which we just talked about, and the group selection tool we also just talked about. But if you look over to the end here, there's a little thing that sort of looks like a tab. See that little tab? Okay, if you go and carefully sit on that tab and let go of your mouse, that tears this tool group out. See, I did the same thing with my pen tool. So they have been brought out so that you, if you're going to be using them multiple times, you have them sitting there. You don't have to keep going back over here. Okay, and then when you're done with them, you just click them and they go back in. And every tool that's down here, and now these are your selection tools. So those two are the ones that you want to focus on. Then you have the pen tool. Forget that tool. Concentrate on the pen tool. The type tool is what you're going to use for type in all instances, unless you're going to do hand lettering, of course. But if you're working with any kind of type whatsoever, there's your guy right there. Okay, and have you done it? You haven't done. You don't know anything about it?
I've done it with Art Studio, but
okay. I'll show you eventually where that is. It's not going to work in right now, but you'll see.
I usually hand do it.
Yeah.
I would love to learn that. One second, I'm sorry.
Well, we're talking about the case of water, maybe paper towels.
Now, so you've got this tool here, which is important. Forget that tool. That tool right there, definitely. This guy right here, you want to know. This was, again, look at the type tool. The type tool has other tools in here. What I would do for the time being is I would concentrate on just the type tool. Eventually, there's a type on a path tool. Okay, so if you want to create a path and you want to have type flowing in a direction, I can show you how to do that. Okay. I'm not going to do that today. So like I said, there's a lot of things that I'll show you, but I can't show it all to you in one day. I'm right now just doing a kind of a gentle walkthrough before we get cooking on scanning and modifying your art. All right, so you got those tools in there. For our purposes, type tool is what you want. You have this tool over here, which is the line segment tool, the arc tool, the spiral, rectangular grid, and polar grid. I'm going to be honest with you. I hardly ever use any of these tools. I hardly ever use them. I use the line segment tool, and what the line segment tool does is it makes line segments like that. See how I make it? It's going to just click and drag. I'll make a line segment. If I hold down the shift key, which is a modifier, shift key, it constrains it. So it's either got to be horizontal or it's got to be vertical. See what I mean? It will give you a 45-degree angle. See, as long as this will go like this without the shift. But if I hold the shift, it goes 45 degrees, it goes vertical, horizontal, and it goes vertical. All right, and when you let go, you actually now have a stroke. And what you would do is you would put a color on the stroke. I'm going to put something darker so you can see it. And then you can come in here and you can add weight to the stroke. Oh, I went the wrong way. There we go. See, I'm adding weight to the stroke. There you go. That's all it is. I got 21 point on that stroke right there. There's your stroke. And the stroke sits right in the middle of your line. There's two things that these objects do. Let me draw another object so I have two of them out there and make more sense to you when I do. So now I have a line segment and I have a rectangle. Both of these are called basic shapes or primitive shapes. That's what they're called. And this object here, which is a closed shape, it's made up of 4 line segments and 4 anchor points. It can have a stroke, which it has on there right now, or it could have a fill. And right here, if you take a look right here, there are these 2 little squares. That one's got a line through the middle of it. That is your fill. Right now, there's nothing in the fill. If I come over here and click that red, this is still selected. If I click on this, it becomes filled with that red. Now, this guy has a brown on it. If I bring that forward, and if I click on the none button, then it removes that stroke. Or if I come up here to this is my properties bar. If I come up here, and that is, if you take a look, that's your fill. See, it's mirroring that. And that is your stroke. It's mirroring that. If I come over here, I can come in and click, and I can put a color back on that stroke. And I put the color on it, it goes to 1. So if I deselect it, you'll see it's there, actually. See it? But if I click it, I can then come over to the stroke weight, and I can start adding size to it. Go the wrong way every time. See? All right, so the two things that they will do is they will hold a stroke, and what's holding, let me just show you something else. Go to the view menu and go to outline. Okay, what we're looking at now is we are looking at the actual vector and anchor points of each of these objects. There's your line. Each one of them there's an anchor. See my little highlight? It's telling me there's an anchor there. And this is a line segment, or a path it's calling it, but it's a line segment path. So path and anchor point. Very important for you to understand what we're dealing with. Anchor point, line segment, or path. Over here, that had a picture of MailChimp in it, right?
Yes.
Okay, you see any line work in there? You see any of that in there?
No.
No, because that's a bitmap. That little thing that you see crossing the middle is telling you that this shape right there, that's an edge, and that is an anchor. It is still a path and an anchor point, but it contains a bitmap. Whereas this contains a fill. It's not going to tell you anything. But if you click on it, see what it says? It says path and it says anchor. And over here, it's showing you all the different individual pieces. And I'll try to click one of these guys and move one of them out so that you can see what I'm talking about. Let me grab his little earpiece. Let's see if I can get that earpiece and move that earpiece out. There. There's the actual shape that I created. And I used the pen tool to create that little shape right there. All right. Okay. So your biggest assignment, it's not for today because it'll take more time for you to do this. But your biggest assignment is for you to do some research and do some exercises with the pen tool. Before I leave today, I think I have a couple of files that I can copy onto the drive and give you, and I'll have you play with them and practice with them, okay? And I'll show you a little bit of how they're done, and then you can just practice with them, and if you have any problems, you let me know, and I'll try to straighten you out. Okay. All right, so let's get out of here. So we could see, any questions?
No, so far so good.
All right.
I mean, it's a lot of new language. But
well, it's the reason I'm showing you this stuff is because I think this gives you an idea of what you're dealing with. Okay. That's what I think is important, is that you get the idea of what you're dealing with. I'm not going to make you an expert on anything, but at least now you know that there is a thing called a bitmap, and the bitmap is resolution dependent, which means that you're not going to deal with it in Illustrator. You'll be dealing with that in Photoshop, and there's a whole different world around that. I don't think it relates to what you're going to be doing necessarily, so I wouldn't worry about it. But in Adobe Illustrator, you have resolution independence. What really makes that important to know is that MailChimp that I drew right there. Let me go back to the view menu and come back to GPU preview. If this were real, I could make him as big as I want. I could make him fit the side of the house, or I could make him fit the side of your thumb. And he would look exactly the same way at the size of your thumb or at the size of the house. That's what makes this very important. And that's why this program is more than worth it to learn how to use. Okay? So, all right, quickly, these two tools, it's the selection tool and the two nested tools here, the direct selection tool, the group selection tool. Just remember, the direct, it's telling you. I mean, this is one good program, actually. It's sort of telling you. Direct selection tool. Well, what does direct mean? It means I got an anchor point. If I click on that anchor point, I'm directly going to edit that anchor point. Okay? Right. So those two are important. Group selection tool. Well, what does that mean? All right, I made a group of objects, and I want to edit one of the objects. So that means I can use that tool to go and select that object within that group, and I can edit it. Okay? There you go. Now, this tool here we talked about. All right, I have, let me bring it back out again. I'll show you a couple more things with this and we'll move on. So you've got this shape here. I did not make this shape right here. I did not make that shape. Oh, by the way, let me go to the view menu. And remember that you can hide the edges and show the edges. There's view the edges. I think it's actually view edges. Show edges, here we go. How come it's because it's blue? Let me remove that. That thing is really getting in my way. Let me get rid of that. There we go. Okay, so you can see it now. All right, the reason I'm doing this is this is a basic shape. I'll just for the sake of it, just for the sake of comparison, let me get the ellipse tool and come out here, and let me just drag out an ellipse for you. There's an ellipse. So if you drag without holding down the Shift key, you can get an ellipse of any shape that you want. You can make that ellipse do whatever you want it to do. Okay, generally. Now, if you hold down the Shift key, it turns it into a circle. You can make the circle as big as you want. Okay? So those are just a couple of basic things. Now, I'm going to make it ellipse because I want to save the space. I'm going to select both of these guys because I want you to see something. Now, I got them both selected. Now, the one thing that's important for you to understand is this object is made almost the exact same way as this object right there.
Okay.
If you notice, it's got 4 anchor points. Now, what's the major difference between the two? The major difference between the two is that these are anchor points, but they're corner anchor points. These are smooth points, okay? And what I can do is I can take this tool right here. This is a very important tool for you to ultimately understand because it will enable you to play around with these points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, you know, it's not like I use this stuff every time I do artwork, but these are really important points, and that's why I'm mentioning to you right now. I want you to be aware of them from, you know, day one. Be aware of these tools. Keep it in your mind that you know what, I got some things to learn about these tools. I'm pointing out the tools in here that I think will do you good immediately. All right, so I got this tool right here. I come over here and I click on this anchor point, and I hold and I drag the anchor point, and look what it does. You see that line that comes out? Okay, what that is basically is that is a directional line that shows you how you're modifying your corner point. Now, right now, I've laid that down so that corner to that point is square, and this is bulging out. See, and I can do something like this, or I can do something like this with this, okay? Now, if I come over to this one, and I go over top of that anchor point, watch what happens if I click it. See, it converts it to a corner point, all right? Now, if I come over to this one, and I click on that one, it goes back to being
corner
corner point. It goes back to being a square. So really, that's this one right here, and it's called the anchor point tool. What it's doing is it's modifying an existing anchor point, and it enables you to do this, which is to basically convert that anchor point from whatever state it's in to the other state. There's only 2 states. There's the corner point and there's the smooth or the curve point. So that tool will enable you to do this kind of thing. This is something you'll do an awful lot of, okay? Okay, so that's that. And I'm gonna leave it that way for a minute. This one here, if I come in here and click on this one, and if I drag it out, I can get it back to primarily where it was, although this is a little harder to manage. Let's see if I'm close on it. It's close enough. You get the general idea. Okay, that one will fix it. Okay, now, those 2 are important. These 2 are important as well. Okay, and I'll show you why. So the first one is the add anchor point tool. And now there's 2 ways that you can add anchor points on a line. Now, why would you do that? Because when you have an object like this selected, you can come up to the effects, and there's a whole bunch of effects in here, more than we could ever get through in a day. But
let's see some of them.
Yeah, but a lot of them you'll never use. The ones that I use convert to shape. I use distort and transform. Sometimes I use path because I use offset path, outline object, outline stroke. Okay, but you can also go to the object menu. I think, let's see if it's in here. Object, path, outline stroke, offset path. See, it's almost, and look, even in here, look, automatically add anchor points. So what I'm talking about here is you got these 4 anchor points right now. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to go in and I'm going to use an effect. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to go to the path, or let's go to distort and transform. I'm sorry. And I want to go in, and let's say I want to roughen this thing. Okay? This is something that I think you're going to like, because at some point you're going to be drawing stuff, and you might want to have something that looks sort of like either it's exploding, or it's, you know, you'll see. I hit the roughen tool. I come over here and I get this roughen panel. Now, the problem with this panel is you got to get used to what it does. It has a size and it has a detail. It also has a preview. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be roughing this line. I only got 4 little points on here. So watch when I preview this. Okay, I can get all this stuff happening. All right, and I can come in here, and this is set for corner and that's set for relative. I can come in here and I can increase the size, decrease the size. See, you get just slight roughing. And I can go in here and I can increase the detail, decrease the detail. And if I go, let me hit cancel, because this will probably look better. If I go to the view menu and I hide the edge, now that is a selected object, but the edge is hidden. The reason I did this is that you could actually see this better. If I go to the effect menu again, and I go to distort and transform, and I go to roughen again, and I click on preview, That's what it's doing.
Oh.
Okay, and you can come in here and you can play around with the details and make this thing look like whatever you want it to look like. Okay.
Wow.
All right, and you can change it from corner to smooth, and it doesn't do too much relative to absolute, and that knocks it down quite a bit. And this will give you a completely different area. See, in this you can do more, you can do less. All right, and I'm gonna hit OK. So you get general idea about this. You just mostly gonna play with it and get used to it. I'm gonna hit OK, and now I'm gonna go View, Show Edges. This is what's important for you to understand. Take a look at that line. See it? Even though that artwork is doing all that fancy stuff, look at the line. The line hasn't been changed at all. Okay, so if I go to the View menu and if I go to Outline, you see what you see? You don't see any of that fancy stuff happening. Why? Because it's a fake. The program is generating it. Okay, now let's say, for instance, let's go back to this, go to GPU Preview. You got that there. Let's say, for instance, you've done this and that's exactly what you want. And you want to keep it that way forever. Okay, because when you do these things, more than likely, if you want to edit these things, the safest way to do it is to convert everything to a form that's permanent. It's the same thing with text. If you incorporate text into your creations, eventually what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to outline the text. The reason that you do that is you're converting it to a shape. You're making it permanent. Nobody can go in there and change it, not even you. So it reaches a point when you do a creation and you have the text exactly the way you want it and you're convinced that you're never going to change it, you convert it into object. And I'll eventually show you that as well. But what I want to show you here is, let's say, for instance, you really want that to be a permanent shape. What you would do is you would go up to the Object menu, and you would go to Path, and Object Expand Appearance. There we go. Object Expand Appearance. So what that's telling you is that this thing, in fact, is a form of an appearance. What appearance means in this context is the computer is generating that look. And you can see that because it's got all this fancy stuff going on, but in fact, you got that little line right there, and that's what really exists. That's what's real. So by coming in here and going Object Expand Appearance, see how that now becomes permanent. And that is a shape that if I were to take this shape, and if I were to bring that shape in there, and let's make it black so we can see it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to remove that stroke. I just want to hit that, remove it. There we go. Okay, you see how this little shape here is in front of it? See it? That's behind it? Okay, so what if I wanted to knock that shape out of that shape? In other words, I wanted this furry thing happening, but I wanted to open up a spot running into it. Okay? I select both of these guys, and I go to the Window menu. Now, there's another way you could do this. There's two. I go to Pathfinder. See, all of these in the Window menu, this is something that's also very important for you to know. When you go into the Window menu, we've got all these little panels over here, and we'll be using some of these panels, and I'll explain more about them at different times because there are different operations those panels are useful for. But in this Window menu, all of those panels exist there. So eventually you're going to know that whenever you want to open up any particular type of panel, you're just going to go to the Windows menu and it'll be there and you'll open it up. So in this case, I just want to show you two things. And this is important also to know that there's a lot of times, if not most of the time, I can't say all the time, but very often there's more than one way to do things here. So all you need to know is one way to do it, but it's also nice to know that there's usually more than one way to do it, because sometimes you'll work on something and for some odd reason, one way don't work the way you exactly want it to. The other way might work differently or better, okay? Or you just might want to hit a shortcut. Well, I'm going to open this up because I'm going to look for Pathfinder. Where are you? There it is, Pathfinder. Okay, so this is the Pathfinder panel. And what this does, if you take a look at it, these are shape modes and these are pathfinders. What this essentially does is, this essentially, by clicking on this, if I have those two objects selected and one in front of it, if I click on this one, what it's going to do is it's going to simply unite those two pieces. So you know what unite means? It's going to make them become one piece. So watch what that looks like. See? It looks like that. Now that's not what I want, so I'm going to go Control Z, but that's what unite does. This one here is minus front. This is the one I'm looking for. What this is going to do, is it's going to take this object right there, and it's going to punch a hole into that back object in that shape. Okay, so I end up with sort of a socket in the middle of that fuzzy thing, like I was talking about. Right.
Minus front.
Exactly, minus front. Now this one here, what this does is intersect. What this would do is this would leave that part there with a fuzzy edge. It would remove that piece and remove that piece. So you see what I'm saying is eventually by exploration and playing, and what I would do eventually is when you have time and you're in the mood for it, sit down and start bringing some of this stuff out. Make yourself a couple of basic shapes and just explore with some of the stuff that we're covering right now. And then this way, what you can do is you can get familiar with what these things do, because these really are going to help you be incredibly creative. I mean, imagine being able to make a tree and come in and make shapes like this to you know, fuzz up a tree. These are things you could do very easily. And a lot of it, at a certain point, I think you're going to find that you're not going to always be drawing on paper anymore. Eventually what's going to happen is you're going to migrate into this computer, and you're going to find yourself drawing on this computer.
I hope I could do that.
You are going to, because
He draws on the iPad.
Yeah,
directly.
I draw.
This program,
So
I have to tell you, this program is by far the best program out there. There's no doubt in my mind. And they have done so much to make this easy. Now, there is a learning curve. I'm not going to say there's not, but it is easy. It is really easy. So let's see what I want to do here. That's what I want to do. See what I'm saying? So that's what that filter does. Now, if I go back and go edit, undo, Control Z, and if I click on the third one, okay, see what that does? That creates that shape, which is a cool shape too. It kind of looks like a little ghost. It could be maybe used in kind of like a zooming ghost or something. All right, so that's what these things do. All right, now, so you got your type tool, which I'm not even going to get into right now. These guys here, the pen tool and the add anchor and delete anchor point, which I think I showed you a little bit, and then this guy right here. All right, so those tools are important. This line tool is important. The basic shape tools, I have to tell you, eventually you're going to find that much of your work is going to be taking basic shapes and modifying basic shapes, adding to them, subtracting things out of them, modifying them. So basic shape tool is a very important tool. This tool, the rounded rectangle, because you get nice rounded corners with this one. This one is a nice square rectangle tool. This one here is an ellipse tool. You get any shape of ellipse you would like and a circle by holding the shift key down. And the rectangle tool can make a square by simply clicking and dragging and holding the shift key down. It constrains and it gives you a square instead of a rectangle. Okay, so it's logical. It's just you got to remember these things. But you'll have this. You can refer to this when you're playing. You know, go. I'm gonna. This is all being recorded. By the end of the day, it'll be up on my YouTube site, and you can go in and you can check this out anytime you need a refresher on it.
Yeah, like you said, learning curve and
absolutely. But it's a fun learning curve, and if you're inspired to do it, huh?
I have some making sense.
Yeah. If you really enjoy what you're doing, you're gonna love this program, because this program is like really made for what you're doing. This is really the perfect program. So again, it's going to be a little frustrating at first because you're not going to be able to do everything that you want to do. But in time, once you have it all in your head, you can begin to plan your moves. And once you start planning your moves, then you can go in and you can build stuff, and the stuff will start looking amazing. You know, because this can do things that you can't do by hand.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And what I do, it takes just so much time.
Yeah. And see, this way, if you do a good job on paper, if you do a good job on paper, like we're going to go in, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and scan this thing and start fooling around with it. Okay. You do a nice job. This is a pretty nice job here. This is not going to have any trouble scanning this and getting a nice piece of art out of this. Yeah,
that's okay. I think buildings and things. You know,
well, I mean, any kind of drawing will work. The important point is, keep in mind, things need to be closed. Things need to be closed up. You need to make things solid if you want them to be solid. You can't have little gaps places, because the gaps will leach out or leach in, and that's not good. I mean, there are ways of dealing with it, but if you plan your artwork before you bring it in and do the artwork the right way, you're going to be moving along a lot quicker.
Yeah, like I'm looking at all these buildings on here, which are just so much more professional.
Where are they?
On TPT.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like all the...
Well, yeah, but you know, he's got character to his. These things here, they look like they probably were rendered square, weren't they? Are they square rendered, or are they...
I don't know.
Let me take a closer look.
Yeah, because that's part of...
Yeah, I think what they did was they actually built this in Illustrator, and everything is like a square. His has got little character because it's got a hand-drawn kind of look. There's nothing wrong with a hand-drawn kind of look.
I know.
But he can eventually, by using the basic shapes and the things that I'm showing him and will be showing him, he will be able to go in and he'll be able to do it that way too. That's what I'm saying. Whereas here he's doing it by hand. I mean, you're not taking markers and rulers and drawing this thing.
No, I did it all by hand.
Exactly. You're just drawing this by hand. What you'll find out is what she's looking at is somebody's doing what you're doing here on this computer.
That's
okay.
That's kind of what we've been
And
deducing
honestly,
that.
he really would like even sized windows and stuff like that.
I mean, there's easy
doesn't
way.
all have to be perfect,
Yeah.
but
The
there's certain
windows.
things we want.
Well, yeah, but once I get this thing
Right.
scanned in
Yeah,
here, I'm going to show
exactly.
you how to do that. It's not a big deal. I mean,
Like like you were saying, the hand drawn quality is part of what I do.
yeah,
But I wanted to.
you want both.
Yeah, I want
You
to
want
refine
you
it.
want a
See,
you want a nice broad range
There's
of
his.
look.
Yes.
That's what makes sense.
There's his. There's what you have right
Right.
there, colored in.
They look really nice.
That's John.
They look really nice. So you see, that's what I'm saying. It's got a look. So he could have a line of soft items, and he can have a hard line.
Mhm.
Okay, and that what I think would make a lot of sense. You'd probably want to do that
Yes.
both ways because it has a nice look, and I could see that being used in a particular context, just like the more hard edge ones can be used in a different context. Okay.
As teachers, I like doing a lot of social studies and history. So I started doing this Lewis and Clark thing, which is probably I sold more than anything else. So like the figures are good, but there's certain, like I did a fort and other elements which I could see, like trees and mountain ranges.
Absolutely.
Well, the
Just to reuse them again. Just
Yes.
to reuse everything. Like that's just if he doesn't get to recycle his stuff, we don't really
Rarely.
know how to do it. It's awful.
Well, I am telling you flat out that once you get solid with this program, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. You are going to be creating things that.
And in half the time. Because,
Well, I mean, even if it's not half the time, it doesn't matter.
no,
because
but
what
when
it
I
is,
say half the time, I'm talking about if he makes a person. Let's just say he makes a person waving.
right?
So then everybody is using that same person, but with like 10 different outfits. But for him, we have to keep making that person. Do you know
Right.
what I'm saying? We
Once
don't
you
have
make that
image.
person,
Exactly.
you can go in there and you can modify that person by
That's what I
adding
want to do.
different
Exactly.
clothing to it, by changing colors,
Right.
by, if you did a head, you might want to put 3 different heads on it. You have 3 different heads. You could have
Exactly.
layers where the head would be hidden and then another layer would come up because you build different heads. That's what I'm saying.
So
It is going to be
the
crazy.
initial making the person won't be easier, but adapting it is going to give us a
That's
million more products.
right.
Some of these people are putting up 30 sets a day.
Nah, I know. And they probably are doing it because they're using this program and they have that flexibility. When I was younger, I worked in ad agencies. And what they used to make us do is they used to make us do these very elaborate mock-ups to show people. And back then, we didn't have the computer. I'm talking about like back in 1970s and 80s. The computer wasn't really there yet. And so I would be in there and I'd have to draw all this stuff. And all day in the afternoon, the evening, and the next day I'd be drawing this whole elaborate thing. Then the guy would take it and he'd go in and he'd make a presentation. And then he'd take all these notes because the customer would say, well, I don't like this. I want this, that, blah, 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 blah. All the stuff he would change. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, an hour and a half, I'm getting ready to go home. This guy would come back in and he would throw that thing down on me and said, here's his changes, make it. And I would literally have to sit there and cut the whole thing apart, make new parts, render new parts by hand like you're doing here. Render all these new parts, paste them in place properly, get it all perfect so it could be then represented the next day. In Adobe Illustrator, that's all gone. I mean, you can create things and you can change things like that. I mean, that's a little bit extreme, but
look, like here are the pumpkins that she does.
Yeah.
And she does the same thing with apple. She changes the color. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that takes her, this would be 2 completely different projects. For her, she's just dotting the colors in.
Yeah.
And
And changing the leaves and changing. Yeah. That's exactly right. So yeah, no, that's
so
that.
no wonder she's putting out,
She's pumping out a lot more than you.
Out.
Exactly. So that's why, what I'm showing you are some of the things that I think relate to each other and what you really need to know first. It's not going to all be there in your head, but at this point you're seeing your way in. I'm kind of feeling you in. Okay, so let's get out of here for a minute. Anyway, there's a polygon, there's a star tool, so you know what they do. They make polygons, and polygons are great because what you can do with a polygon is you can do this, and you can go, there we go. Hold on. Let's do this. delete that. Let's try it again. I think I hit the wrong tool. Click on that. Oh, there we go. It's not the left, right. It's the up arrow. See what I'm doing? I'm modifying. There's a triangle. And now that's the down arrow. While I'm holding this down, this is the shape. It's an active shape. I'm going to start going up, and I'm going to start adding edges. That's all there is to make that kind of a deal. And see all the little anchor points?
Right, and that's just a polygon, or is that?
That's just a polygon.
Okay.
Now I can do the same thing with a star. Watch the star. The star is great. I can come in here and I can drag out a star, and there's a fat star. If I hold the shift key down, come on. There's the op. Yeah, oh, sorry, the alt key. I don't do this very often. There's the American star. So there's a fat star. Come on, there we go. There's the fat star. And there's the American star. Now, if I want, I can come over here and I can start going down. Watch this. Down, down, and I got a triangle. I can go up, 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 and now what I'm making is a little crest. And I even have ways that I can go in here and I can modify the points, so I can make these things smaller in points. Now, if I let go of that, see all the anchor points? There are inner anchor points and outer anchor points. Now, watch this. If I come over here with this, click on it, and if I go to the effects again, just for the heck of it, for laughs, come over to effects, go to distort and transform, and let's go to this time pucker and bloat. This is a different one. This isn't roughen. This is pucker and bloat. This is another fun one. So I come in here with pucker and bloat, and I hit preview. It's sitting right now on 0. So if I hit preview, you don't see anything yet. Okay. But you see all those little anchor points? Okay, that's what's going to be the basis for this effect. So I click on this and I start dragging this thing over. You see what it's doing? Making right now, it begins to make a little, what you could call, I guess, a little flower, an even sort of flower. Now, if you go this way, you can start making something like this, which I guess would be like a splat.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can just go completely out here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and then what you can do is you can hit OK. Then you can come in here and you can be putting these in front of one another or in back of one another. See, and now you've got a complex shape. So what you're ultimately doing is you're building a series of complex shapes. And again, see, I know all this stuff. And when I'm sitting down to achieve a particular thing, all this stuff is being formulated in my mind. What is it I'm going to do to achieve this? What am I going to do to achieve that? There'll be a point where you're going to do the same thing. You're going to be able to sit there and you're going to know that the effects are there. You're going to know that basic shapes. You're going to know that more points does something, less points do something. And all these things become factors into you creating what it is you want to create on the computer. Once you create it on the computer, you can modify it endlessly. You can resize it endlessly, recolor it endlessly, and it's a matter of minutes as opposed to a long period of time or an extended period of time redrawing something or modifying something. All right? So, any questions?
Yeah, if you wanted to save that, or with that, because I wanted to hold on, if I made a shape or something very unique that I wanted to use again.
All right, well, if you want to keep that as a shape, there's another thing that you could do. Well, there's a number of things that you could do. First of all, what I would do is I would probably just group this thing, unless you want to absolutely keep that shape. You want that shape absolutely kept? Like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if I made something that I knew I was going to use.
Okay, so what I would do, there's a couple of things that you could do. Okay. I would go to my Windows menu, and I would go into my symbols. Now, here's my symbols panel. Now, let me explain to you what a symbol is. A symbol is where you take an object such as this, and you turn it into a symbol, and then that symbol, you can create endless numbers of copies from that symbol, and they will all be, I guess the best way to call it is they will be mirror images of the original. If you have 50 of these on the page, you won't have 50 originals, you'll have 50 mirror images of it. You'll only have one original. So the size of your file will be very small. Okay, so what I could do is I could come in here and I could select these guys and I could drag and I could drop them into the symbols panel. And the symbol options come up. I would call this, what do you want to call it? A burst?
Yeah, starburst.
Let's just call it BURST. And the export type is either a movie clip or a graphic. Either one of them works fine, but let me explain what I do and why I do it. Generally, I don't use movie clips because I feel movie clips sort of relate to Flash, and we're not in any way dealing with Flash. And this is just something I do because I'm sort of stubborn, and I know that this is just going to be a graphic export as a graphic, so I call it a graphic. Now, this is a dynamic symbol. It could be a static symbol. I leave it as dynamic. There's no problem with that. There's registration point. I don't know how much you know about registration, but there are points within this object where you can place the corner or center or the registration, the center point. I generally use the center, but you can put it up in the upper left-hand corner, and that means when you move it, it will be moved by the basis of the upper left-hand corner, or the center, the top center point. I leave it in the middle, generally. Yeah, I just leave it in the middle. And then down here, enable guides for 9-slice scaling. What that does is it will allow you to place guides in and enable those guides so that you can actually open areas up. Like if you did a banner and you wanted the banner to get wider suddenly, by putting in guides, you could then enable guides for 9-point scaling, and you could then scale your banner in the middle, making it for more words. But we're not using that for this. Okay, so I just hit OK, and now there's my symbol. And right now, if you see how that changed? There's no more highlighting on that anymore. There's a little key in the middle. See, it's sort of a little cross in the center. Yes. That's your center point. If that center point was up in the upper left-hand corner, that little thing would be sitting up in the upper left. This tells you that that is no longer an original piece of art. There's your original right there. That is, now watch, I'll drag out another one. And I'll drag out another one. See, and I can put them all over the place. And, you know, I can scale them if I want. I can, you know, hold down the shift key. I can scale them, make them bigger or smaller. See what I'm saying?
Because that's something I think I would use.
Absolutely. And it's not hard. I mean, the most important thing to keep in mind is this. I have this artwork open already. There were a bunch of default symbols in here. I removed them. And because when I work on a thing like this, I assume if I'm going to make a symbol, I was going to demonstrate this stuff. So I remove them. But if you go to this little drop-down menu, see where it says select all unused? Okay, when you open up a default, let me do this and show you. Let's go File, New. Just open up a new document real quick and hit Create. Doesn't matter. There we go. You see in the symbols panel, you see their little...
Right, they're in the program.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So none of them mean anything to me. I'm not going to use any of them. Okay, I'm going to create something on my own. I'm going to be using the symbols panel, so I don't want all that junk in there. So what I would do basically is just come over here, and I would come down, and I would go select all unused. You see how they highlight? And then I hit the garbage can, and I delete them, yes. And now they're gone. And now I create my symbol, and then I put my symbol in there, and I'm using it. It's the same thing with the swatch panel. Basically, all those swatches in there, they're just raw color. Probably color that you may use, but the reality is that you probably are going to make your own color, and there are ways that you can very easily come up with your own color. And why confuse things? Because there's an awful lot of stuff in there you're never going to use. That's my point. So whenever I'm doing anything creative, whenever I'm working on a project, I try to organize my project every way that I can. And these panels help me organize my project. So what I would do with this is the same exact thing I did here. I would simply go here and come down to select all unused, and they all highlight, and I would delete them all. Yes. And now I got this duplicate black here that didn't go away. I just delete that as well. And now what I'm left with is black and white, which I generally leave because, you know, either you use black or white or you don't, but it doesn't get in your way. And then this is, which is registration. You'll probably not be using registration, but you'll leave that alone. And that's the none button. So that's what's in there right now. You don't have any colors in there right now. What you would be doing, exactly, you'd be coming over here. You could either come here and you could make a color here.
I would do that a lot.
Yeah.
In the studio.
Or you see, here's the other thing. See that panel right there? Actually, I should close this guy up and go to the window menu and go to color. And there's your color. There's your color panel. See, if you look, there's your none, your black, your white, and there also is your fill and your stroke. See, it's giving you duplications all over. This is RGB. So this is RGB color, which you can manufacture any kind of a color that you want in RGB just by dragging these sliders. You know, you can create any kind of color that you want. See? Any way you want to go with it. And there's all sorts of colors you can come up with. There's also HSB. This is a good one. The reason HSB is good because what you have here is you have your hue slider. Hue is the equivalent of color. So when someone says hue to you, you know they're talking about color. Okay? So by using this slider, I can go through the entire range of color. Watch the second line. As I go through here, see how it's impacting that second line?
Yes.
Okay, then there's what's known as saturation. Saturation is the amount of or purity of color. So you bring saturation all the way over to 100%. That means that that color is completely saturated. Full of color, it can't get any more of that color. Then what you do is you go the other direction, and what you're doing is you're basically removing percentages of color. So you're actually pastelizing it. You're making it down more like a pastel color. You bring it all the way down until it's actually white, which doesn't make a lot of sense because you wouldn't go that far. But you bring it down low and you get a very low blue color. Okay. Then the third thing that you have here is brightness. This is your dark range. So you can come over here and you have 100%, again, saturated. Then you're going to come over here and you're going to start adding darkness to it. You're going to get a whole nother range of colors. Subtly, see how it's getting darker? That's what you do. So this one is one that I use all the time because once I get a color in mind, I want variations of that color often.
Sure.
So if I go up here and if I go to RGB, I can't do that. Or if I go to CMYK, I can't do that because they're not meant to function that way. This is the one you want right there. You want HSB, hue, saturation, and brightness. This is when you want to edit a particular color or you want to generate alterations of color. In other words, you want a different range of color. You have a single color, a single hue, and you want a brighter version of that, a darker version of that. There's where you go to do it. Okay?
Yeah, that's important.
Yes, very important. There's a lot of really, I mean, this is an incredibly great program. You're going to find this. You know, you're only beginning to see that now, but it is a very incredibly great program, especially for what you're doing. All right, so let me get out of here. And let me get out of here because we're done with all this stuff. Any questions?
No, not so far. Obviously, when you every time you do a picture or a project, and you really, like you were saying, you pre-plan it kind of. Okay, I'm going to use this
one way or the other. Either you pre-plan it this way, or you pre-plan it this way, and then you go in and you start putting your elements together.
And then when it's set and I mean, if I really like the settings, or if I did this picture here, and I liked what I used, is it going to remember that?
It will remember it for a period of time until you do something different.
Okay.
And if this program, if like say for instance, you worked on this piece, you saved it, and then you closed it. Theoretically, what should happen is when you open it up, whatever you did last for any particular thing will come up because that's how that last piece is. Okay. Unless you changed it to something else. So let's say, for instance, what would be a good example here?
Like I recently, I make a lot of ships, boats, Mayflower, all, but I kind of use the same, but I change the masts and the flags and some of the details. But I usually keep the same
basic boat shape.
Yeah, mainframe.
Well, then you make a template.
Okay.
That's the way to do it. What you do is you go in there and you make a template of a boat. All right. Now, I know this is going to be really stupid, but look, I come over here and I'm going to make a template of a boat.
Okay.
All right. So I come over here, I make my template of a boat. Here's my template of a boat. Okay. And to make it even more of a boat, let's see, we're going to go to this guy right
now,
here.
Remember what because you're gonna
I'm going to edit it. I'm going to edit it. Let's get that's one right there. I'm going to edit this guy. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to start by, oops, I didn't get it. Let me get it now. There we go. All right, now I'm going to drag this. Oh, wait a minute. Stupid me. Wrong one. There we go. That's what I want. I want that. All right, so I'm going to drag this thing out like this. All right, and then I'm going to try to edit this thing a little further. Let's see what I can do with this thing. I can bring this thing back like that. All right, and let's say I'm going to see if I can do this. I got to remember what key it is. If it's I think it's the Option key, Alt key. Let me see if that's it. Yeah, there we go. See, by using the Alt key, see what I did? I'm only getting one side of it. Let's say I do something like this. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is come over here like this and drag this thing around like that. Let's see if I can make this thing a little bit rounder. Okay, so there's the front of my boat. It's a terrible job, but you get the general idea. So we got the boat shape, all right, and I'd continue making my shape. I might actually draw this thing out, but anyway, there's your boat shape. So what I would do is I would just go File, Save As, and I would call this, give me a name, any name.
Mayflower.
All right. Mayflower.
That was the last one I did.
Yeah, so Mayflower, Adobe Illustrator AI, hit save. Okay, so now I hit OK. And I'm going to close this thing. So now I'm going to use Mayflower AI to make another boat. Okay. So I'm going to double click on this, open up the Mayflower. I'm going to go File, Save As, and we'll call this the Nina, and hit Save. Now, hit OK. Now, this no longer says Mayflower. It says Nina. It's the exact same boat base, but it is now a Nina base, and you still have your Mayflower sitting up there. So every time you want to make something based on that shape for the Mayflower, that's what you do. And you might have 4 or 5 different boat bodies, and you would just have them all sitting there, and you would know what they are. I would maybe call it body 1, body 2, body 3, or body square, body rectangle, body, you know, I mean, you'd have to name them, but you get the idea? Yeah. You'd make these and you'd have them sitting in a folder. They would be in a general purpose folder. What I like to do is I like to make a lot of folders. What I would do is something like this is, see, I'll give you an idea. Let me get all these things closed, and I'll show you what I'm doing. Oh, come on. Why isn't this closing? There we go. I want that, and I want this. Oh, how come that? Yeah, okay, I got it. There we go. So look in my clip art. So I'm coming here today. So I have a folder called MailChimp. I have a folder called Nature, and I have a folder called Silly, because these are just some things that I grabbed. If you didn't have anything, I was going to play with them. Sure. See what I do? And I would come in here, and I would take your picture, and I'd put that in the clip art as well, and I would create a folder, okay, with your name on it. And I would put that in that folder. Okay. And that's how I do it. This way you'd have like your, you know, your boats. And then you'd come in and you'd open up your boat. So like, watch what happens when I go into MailChimp. See how it shows me the art? Okay. This doesn't show me the art, doesn't show me the art. But what I could do if I wanted, I could save them as JPEGs. And then they would show. And you would know which one is which. But I doubt very much you'd have any trouble, because you'd be naming them. This one would say Mayflower. This one would say Nina. This one would say Pinto and the Santa Maria, whatever, you know. All right. So anyway, that's that. So let's do this. Let's get to business here. Let's close this out. Is that clear enough? Yeah. Okay. So let's save this. No. Let's go File, Open, and I'm going to go to the desktop. And I'm looking for, hold on, looking for scan. Where the hell is it? Oh, I put it in the folder, didn't I? Yes, I did. I'm going to go to clip art. I think right there. Hit open. There's your art. Okay? There's your art. There it is. It's a bitmap. And I've got it selected. See it? If I come over here to the View menu, Outline, see what you get? Nothing, because it's a bitmap. It's selected. You just see the edge, and the content of that is a bitmap. Okay, so let's go back to View. All right, so what we're going to do with this, we have it selected. What we want to do is we want to trace this guy. We want to auto trace this guy. All right, so what we're going to do is go to the Object menu. We're going to go down to Image Trace and Make. Object, Image Trace, Make. Well, remember, this is being recorded, so it'll go up. So Make, and tracing may proceed slowly with this image. Would you like to continue? Of course I want to continue. So it'll trace, and see, here it goes. Initial clustering, boundary, there you go. It's traced. Now, you look at this and you say, you know, it's okay, but maybe I can make it a little bit better. There is a panel right here. It's the Image Trace panel. Let me close this out. The Image Trace panel. You have a number of things that you could do here. There are tracing presets that you could use. I don't use these very often. What I generally do is, depending upon what it is that I'm tracing, and I may actually in a little while, trace something much more elaborate so that you could get a better idea of the parameters of the tracing properties that you have. All right, so you have a tracing result. I generally don't mess with this. I just leave it the way it is because I want to see what I'm going to end up with. That's what's most important. Okay, so I got this thing selected. I have a threshold. I also have that thing called advanced. And I always scroll that advanced out because what it does basically is it gives me my threshold, it shows me my paths, it shows me my corners, and it shows me my noise. And all these things are different settings which are impacting your trace. So for instance, the threshold is the level of darkness as opposed to lightness. So what I can do with this is I can click on this and I can start dragging it over and see it'll process it. And it cleaned it up a little bit. I think there were a couple of lines over there that are gone, right?
All right.
Okay, so I can actually go, see now these lines get a little bit thin up there. I'd be worried about that. So that's one of the things that I'm telling you. You got to be very careful when you draw these things to make sure that your lines are solid enough so that they can be traced. But I can maybe continue with this. I'll click on it, I'll drag it up a little bit more. I got to watch it because I'll reach a certain point and it'll all go black on me. And maybe I should do that just to show you. See, it's still not, but see how it's getting nice and dark now? All right, let's go up threshold higher. Watch. Oh, look at that. I'm going to go higher. I'm trying to make it go black.
Sure.
It's cleaning up that
In other
line,
words,
though.
you're trying to
Look,
find...
actually, I'm still going up good. See, but you see what's happening? See how it's muddying up?
Yes.
Okay, so even though this didn't go black, if I go all the way to the top, maybe it will. Anyway, yeah, there it is. So that's what you don't want, obviously. And you don't want it this way either. Let me come back just a little bit. You don't want it to start muddying up. Let's get this thing back into a range that makes sense. This is actually fairly close, okay? See, but it's still, you're losing a little bit of that. I worry about that a little bit, but let's see what we can do with it. So I'm going to bring it back a little bit more because I don't want them to muddy up here. There. Did you see it change?
Yep.
Okay. So this is what you're doing. The threshold is your contrast, I guess is the best way I could describe it to you. So these settings are important because you're going to be using them every time you create a piece of art till you reach a point where you're no longer creating art, you're creating art on the computer. This is a very important thing. And that's why I actually wanted to start with this, because I thought if anything, you should have a good sense of how this works, because this is where you're going to be wanting to go immediately, you know? So I think we're good here. Now we also have paths, we have corners, and we have noise. Now what noise does is, let's drag it all the way up and let's see what it does when I go all the way up with the noise. Watch the art and see if it changes. I think I saw something drop off over here. It actually, probably the little whoop-de-doos there. So let's see, that noise is, let's go all the other way. Let's go all the way down to the end. Let's see what it does now. Yeah, see, they come back. So I think probably we would want less noise. Let's see if we go right about here. I'm trying to see what happens to these little fine lines is what I'm really looking at. Now, that's pretty good. I think that looks pretty nice. What do you think? Does that look okay so far? So let's leave the noise right about there. So ultimately, the noise, if you go all the way up this way, I think it'll start dropping it off more. This way, I think it's going to bring back in a little bit of that detail. Corners. Now, the corners are, remember, what we're dealing with anchor points and line segments. So in this drawing, there are corners. And what it's trying to figure out is what to do with those corners, how to manage those corners. That's essentially what that's all about. So let's drag it all the way up to the top and let's see what happens to this image. It's probably going to be very subtle. Hardly anything. You don't see anything. And that's probably because there are very few really tight, hard corners. Okay. And let's drag it all the way down to the lowest part of its setting and see what it does then. Again, very little happens. So I would say probably somewhere in the default range where it was would probably be good in that case. I think it was somewhere around there. Yeah, see, I don't see any harm in that. Paths. Now, again, we have paths. How do we deal with the paths? Same basic thing. Let's drag it all the way to the top. Let's see what happens to your piece of art. You see how it's getting all fuzzy?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see all the little fuzziness on everything?
Yes.
And not good.
Right.
Okay. So we know that that's not the way to go. Now, what you have to understand about this panel, there's no book, there's no instruction book that comes with it. It's not like you could say for this line you do this. You have to learn this panel, and you have to take a few minutes to experiment with the panel. Eventually you'll get to a point where you'll kind of intuitively know where to go, and if it doesn't seem to work, you'll just play a little bit more, a little bit less. That's how it is. But remember, what I'm doing is I'm trying to introduce you to this, and I'm trying to give you some perspective as to what it's all meaning to you.
So the trace is it's
Preparation of turning this into a vector.
okay.
This is really, right now, we're one step away from this becoming a piece of vector art.
Okay.
All we're doing now is we're preparing the art. So we don't like what's happening here. So I'm going to go all the way to the bottom and see what happens with that. It's going to process. And see, you see how that worked? It gave it a completely different look.
Yes, very much so.
And it is not what we're looking for. Right. So you see what it is when you go to low, what it's doing is it's eliminating some of the character of the path. Here, it's grabbing every single bit of character it can possibly get, which is too much. That's why it generally hits somewhere in the middle. Let's go back to approximately the middle, and let's see how we like the look of that. And there we have it. I don't know what you think. You tell me. It's your art. Are we looking good, or do you want me to tinker some more?
For that, I mean, for what it's doing, I mean, I think it's okay.
You think it's okay?
For now.
Let me just tweak this up just a bit and see what
Now
happens.
the path,
see, it didn't change it too much, so I think we're good. This is the only thing I'm concerned about.
fine.
Does that look okay to you?
Yeah.
If you look at this compared to that, that's the important thing. Compare the two together. We're in a range that is acceptable?
I think that's acceptable would be the best way to describe it.
All right. And like I say, now you're going to close this because you've basically done. So you understand what's going on here?
It's image trace.
Yeah, it's very important. Like I say, you have modes, you have color, black and white color, and grayscale. Okay, I have it set to black and white. This is black and white. Grayscale would be obviously if you have a grayscale image which has grays in it. Okay, or if you have something that has more than one color in it, you might go to grayscale and see whether that does it. Then there's color. Color is when you have something that's full color. Probably that's not going to be you. Right. Okay. So really the most important thing for you in the mode is the black and white. And then you need to understand what the threshold is doing. I showed you how that works. You also want to scroll this open, and you want to understand what's happening with your paths, with your corners, and with your noise. And again, as I said, we went over that. You have this. You can go back to refer to it. This is basically it. So now we've done all this, and all we do, this is a step away from being, let me get this thing up a little bit higher. And let me bring it over this way a little bit. There we go. Go to the object menu and go to image trace and expand. So expand. Okay. See what it is?
Yep.
Now, even out here, there's your background. So you have a background. There, everything you see here, just so that you understand, there, all the white areas are being captured. All the black areas are being captured. The background is even being captured. So every single thing that it could possibly turn into a vector object has been captured. It's all there for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the object menu and you're going to go ungroup. And you may have to do this more than once. I'm going to come in here now. I'm going to click on that background and I'm going to hit delete. Okay, so it looked to me like that worked out just fine. So now if I select all, Control A, no background. All you have now is all of that. That is your image. It's captured. You can start doing whatever you want to do with this. Like for instance, you can come in here and you can make that blue. Okay, now see what it does? It comes out gray. So what you need to know is this turns this into a it turns it into a grayscale image. So what you have to do is you have to go to the window menu and you have to go to color, okay? And you have to have your color panel out. And initially what you have to do is come over here and convert it from grayscale. See, it's grayscale. You have to convert it to HSB. And there's your blue color. And then you can come in here and you can modify that color, make it any way that you want. Once you got that color, here's what I would do. And again, I'm just assuming we're playtime here, and this is the color that you want for that, okay? just for the hell of it. What I would do is I would also open up my swatches panel, which I conveniently closed. Let's go to, where are you at? Window, swatches. And we'd have no colors in here. So what I would do, there's my color, and I'm going to be using that for all those little windows. All right. Okay. I'm going to come over here, add a swatch, and it's going to come up, and it's going to be, it's going to give it an RGB name. If you want, you could name it anything you want. I'm going to call it My Blue. I'm just doing this to show you that you can do it. Okay. Okay. I don't know whether you will or not. I don't, but you might, you know. So I'll call it My _ Blue. Okay, My Blue. Well, that's even good. And it's set to process color, which I'd leave alone. And you could set it to be global. I'm not going to bother. Add to my library. I'm not going to add it to my library. I think I'm just going to leave it in the color. Okay. And I'm going to hit OK. There's your color, My Blue. Okay. Now all I need to do is come in here and click on this, hold the Shift key down, and click, 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 and click, and click, and hit. Make sure the fill is forward.
Okay. I was just going to say fill.
Yeah. Make sure the fill. Well, there's your fill and there's your stroke. So if I had the stroke forward, it would hit the stroke. It would put a stroke on it. That's forward. That's the fill. Come over here and click My Blue. And now you've got the blue in all of them. So it's real easy to go in and start adding color. Now, this thing here, let's say you wanted this color to be sort of a brick color. Okay, you know, sure. Come over here, and what I would do first of all is I would convert that to HSB, and then what I would do is I would come in. Let's see.
So you're going to create the color.
Yeah, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to find a red color. Let's see. I want to get a brick color. That's probably pretty good. So I'm going to drag this over like that. Like that, and I'm going to darken it a bit. There we go. Only I want to lighten it now. Yeah, like this. Yeah. Let's go. Kind of an ugly color, but I think you could play with this and get it the way you want it. All right, let's just say that that's the color for now. The hell with it. All right, so you got that color. Once again, there's your fill. It's in that area. So you got that there. You're going to come over and you're going to use swatch, and you're going to call it brick, and you're going to hit OK. And now you just come over here and click on this guy, shift this guy. I'm assuming these would be the brick color, and this harding area would be brick color as well, and this and that, and then you would click on that fill. And now, whoop, yeah, you got it. Okay, so what happens here is in these letters, here's what's going on here. The letters are separate little shapes as well. So what you would do is you would first start off by selecting that background, hold down the Shift key, and you would come in and you would click on that inner part of the D, not the D, but the inner part of the D, the inner part of the R, and the inner part of the A. Be very careful doing this. Okay.
Yeah, that's a small space.
Yeah, but you can do it. It's easy. You know what you're doing. The whole point is you know what you're doing. Eventually, this will all make sense. You'll have it solid. Then you're going to just come over here, and if you want, you can, I think, just go like that, and you see now you've got that color. You can go Object Group. Okay. Now watch what happens. If I click on that shape, and if I come over to my color, and I change it to blue, you see how it all goes blue? Because those are grouped now, and they're one piece. That's what you want. So I'm going to click on it again, come back here, and I'm going to make it that color. Let's go to View. Let's fit Artboard and Window, and there is what we have so far. Okay? Now, you were saying something about wanting to make these windows more square.
Yes.
Okay, so what I would do with this is I would click on that. I'd hit Delete. I would click on this. I would hit Delete. And maybe even do this. Let me just see. If I go to my direct selection tool and my group selection tool, let me try this. I'm going to try clicking on the group selection. So what you have to understand is what's happening here. This is what is known as a compound path. Object compound path. See it? Okay. This is a compound path, I believe. Well, there's that piece. That's not a compound path. let me first see if I can just, no, I can't. See what, when I click in that, I don't get anywhere with it?
Right.
Okay, there's a reason for that. Watch, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a rectangle. I'll make the rectangle go like across here like this. And let me put a color of red on it, bright red, so that you can see this, what I'm talking about. Okay, all right, and remember the color. So I have to come in here and I have to change it from grayscale to HSB. Now there's my red. Okay, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go edit, cut, and then I'm going to click on that area right there. And I'm going to go edit, paste, and back. You see? Now watch. If I click on this, you see it's going beyond there? Okay. What's happening is that is a hole in the window. That's literally what that is. It's a hole in the window, or a hole in that wall, I should say. So that piece you can put stuff in. But if you do that, what you're going to have to do is, like if you had a little kid waving in that window, what you would do is you'd build a kid in the window, and he would probably go outside the window. His little belly might go under the bottom. You'd click the whole kid, make the whole kid a group, and then you would just click on him and then select this and go object arrange send to back, or click this and go edit cut, and then select this and go edit paste and back like I did. Okay, so that's what that is. So I'm going to delete that. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to remove this thing. There's a couple of ways that we could do this. Let me just first try it with this. If I come over here and click on this guy right here, see, it's got a whole bunch. There's your problem. It's got a whole bunch of these little anchor points on it. So it's going to be an awful lot of work to do it that way. So the best thing I think I can do is click on it with the group selection tool, and I can click on it there, and I can hit delete, and it's gone. Okay,
right, that would be the easier.
Right. So that's what you would do. I'm going to do both. You know what? Let me leave this because I'll use that as a guide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get my rectangle tool, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to make myself a rectangle that's about like that big. Okay. And then I'm going to move that rectangle. I'm going to hold on the shift key, and I'm going to move it across to right about there. Is that good? Okay. So now I have that. And I think I'll move it down just a touch. And what I'm going to do is I got this, it's got a fill so far. And I'm going to go, you know what, let me do this. Let me go to the stroke, and let me put a stroke of black on it. So I don't got any black. So here's what I can do. Right there, do you see where it says black and white, default fill and stroke? I click on that, and I get a default fill and stroke, which is white with black. All right, now I'm going to bring the stroke forward, okay? I don't want the color, but what I want to do is I want to bring the stroke forward, and I want to get that line to be about that width. So I do that here. I'm just going to come over, and I'm going to click 2 point. Watch what this does. And 3 point, and maybe 4 point. 4 point too much? Or 3 point better?
3 point.
3?
Yeah, 3 points.
3 point. Okay, so there you go. Now I have this thing. If I deselect it, that's what we got so far. What I want to do now is I'm going to click on this thing, and I'm going to go edit copy, edit paste in front. Now what I did was I copied the thing and I pasted it in the front. So what I'm going to do is, while it's still selected, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get this, which is the free transform tool. And I'm going to come over and I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm going to click on that bottom center rung. See the little anchor point there and anchor point there? Okay, the one in the middle, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm just going to bring it up to about right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this guy, and I'm going to bring my bill forward. And once again, this thing wants to pop up, so just ignore it. I always get it out of the way. And we're saying that this is blue. So now I put the blue in there. And there is your correct window. Now, once you have this window, I'm assuming that all 4 of these windows should be the same size. So what I would do at that point is I'd come in here and I'd start deleting these things. I'd get rid of this stuff. I'd delete it all. Delete all of this stuff. And then again, come in here with my, I have it out right here, my group selection tool, and delete that. And then I'd come over here and I would delete this. And you could do this with the group selection tool, even though it's not really a group at this point. I'm just going to delete all this stuff. And I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to delete that. Okay, and I'm going to delete that. And then I'll do the same thing here. Delete it. I'm just going to go through the process of delete. Oops, I got the wrong thing. Be careful not to select the wrong thing, because you'll delete that and you just have to go edit undo. All right, so delete all these things. Delete it. And delete it. And finally delete that. Now, I could just copy and paste this, but here's the right way to do it. What you would do is you would minimize that, put it over out of the way, and you would go into your symbols panel. Do I have them out? I don't. Go to Window and go to Symbols. Okay, there's my symbols panel. And what I would do is hold the Shift key down, click that and that, because remember, I did two shapes, right? Okay, and I'm going to drag and drop it in, and I'm going to call it second. Did I do it? No, I messed up. S-E-C-O-N-D, second story. Okay, second story, and it's not going to be a moving. S-E-C, jeez. Okay, movie clip. It's going to be a graphic, and I'm going to hit OK. All right, so now, see?
Now you have it right.
That's right. And then all I'm going to do is come in here. I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag that in there, and I'm going to drag that in there, and I'm going to drag that in there.
So you turn it into a symbol.
Yep. And now I've got all four of these guys, and all I have to do is kind of align them up the way that I want them. Okay. And that's what I would do. I have, obviously I'd have to get them aligned, but you get the general idea. So now you have nice square windows and all those. And if you want, you could do the same thing with this. These two windows here, what I would do with that is I would come in and I would make a shape, a rectangular shape. Make a rectangular shape about like that. Okay. Again, let's call this big. Big window, not a movie clip. Graphic, and hit, yeah, that's good, hit OK. And then just come down here. I could delete that because it's now in there. And I can just delete these things. Get this out of here.
So as you delete them, you're getting rid of all the points.
I'm getting rid of the multiple parts that are used to make that window up. So in other words, when this converts this into a piece of vector art, what it tries to do is it tries to build all the elements, and it usually builds more than less. So when you are removing parts of it, you have to understand that, and you have to, remove the parts. There's another way that this could be done. I'll do it with this one. We'll see how it works. All right, so I can click on this and drag this in and place it right there. And now we've got that window, and we just put it in its final location. Now there's another way that I can do this. What I can do is I can come over here and I can grab a rectangle, and I can just drag this rectangle around that window carefully. Make sure you get it all around that window carefully, okay? And what I'm going to do is, this is tricky. So I'm going to carefully, if I can do this, select this. Yeah, see, this is where it gets tricky. Let's see if I can do this. Let me try it. First of all, go Object, Lock, Selection. So what I'm doing is I'm locking the stuff that's around this so I can do this. Watch, this is called a marquee selection. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to marquee right down to about there. See that part is not in my selection, and neither is that. I don't want them because I don't. Trust me. I'm going to hold the Shift key down and click on this again, and that deselects that piece. I'm going to hold the Shift key down and I'm going to click on that, and that takes that out of the selection. Shift key, and I'm going to take that out of the selection. And then I'm going to click on Shift key, that. Now what I have is, just so that you know, I have that area, the background area, the window, all that stuff, and the piece that I put on top of it selected. So this is the other way to do it. Now you can see I'm explaining this to you as we go along. So you might consider this fast, but I personally think both ways are about the same.
Right.
You know, so it's really up to you whether you want to do. I'm just trying to establish by showing you that there's a lot of times more than one way you can do these things. Okay, so I have these objects selected. I'm going to go to the window menu. I'm going to go to Pathfinder. And once I get to the Pathfinder, in this particular case, I'm going to use Unite to unite all those elements. Now, you saw that window go away, but it's not gone. It just got knocked to the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Edit Cut, okay? And I'm going to select that object, and I'm going to go Edit Paste in Back. And there you go.
Aha.
Okay, so there's two ways that you can clear that out. Now that you're there, all you need to do is come in and grab that and drop that in place and place it the way you want it placed, you know, and you're off to the races. And okay.
Looks better already.
Yeah, and again, if you want, I'll let you want to take a whiz at some of this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what you're going to do, just remember, I'll do one more.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on that piece right there and hold down the Shift key. Okay, click that piece, that piece, that piece. Okay, and what I'm going to do is come over here. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to change the color, bring the color down to sort of a yellowy color. And I'm going to make it, it's not going to be bright yellow like this. It's going to be sort of a pale yellow, somewhere in that range right there. Okay, hit OK. And remember, it goes gray. Why? Because initially it's in grayscale. Exactly. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your color panel, which I have open for you right here. I'm going to move the symbols up a little bit. Pathfinder, you probably aren't going to use right now, so I'll minimize that, but leave it out there. I'll probably put it in the toolbar over here. Click it in the toolbar. If I can get this thing out of the way, I can get it in there. Oh, it's in. Okay. So yeah. So what we want to do is that's selected, and the color. Go to the color. Let's go to color. Where's my color? Did I cover it or did I put it away? I guess I put it away. Go to Window, Color. Yeah, I did. And I'm going to change it from to HSB. And now you see how that. Okay. So then what I do is, because I got that color and I got my fill, that's the important thing, because you're not working with strokes just yet. You're working with fills, right? So make sure the fill is always sharp. And if I had this set to fill, okay, and if I clicked on that one right there, and if I put that color into it, see what it does? It puts a fill on it. I mean, it puts a stroke on it. See the little yellow on this, on a little tiny line of yellow in there? Because the stroke was forward. Okay.
All right.
So what you have to do is you have to make sure, let's go Edit Undo. You have to make sure that your fill is forward. If that's what you're doing, you're putting fills in. So then what you would do is, you know, you would select your, and this is now a symbol. So what I would do is, if I wanted to make these yellow, let's say I wanted all those to be yellow, I can't really put them in. I can't put the yellow in here. The reason I can't put the yellow in here is because they're symbols and they're ghosts of that. So what would you think I would have to do? I want to make those bottom areas yellow. They're instances of that piece of art. So what do I have to do to make those yellow? Think about it. They're connected to that piece of art.
To make them whole?
No, I want to make those yellow instead of white. What would I do to do that? What would I edit? How about that right there?
So you have to edit symbol.
That's right. I have to edit the original symbol. What's cool about this is when I edit the original symbol, everyone that is applied to will automatically update and change. That's where we were talking before about you and how you're going to make these pieces of art and how you might want to modify their color. Whenever you can, whenever it makes sense logically, turn the elements into symbols. Because if you use that multiple times, which you probably will. I mean, here's a great example of where you're using an object multiple times. You see these windows are all being used. There's 4 of them. And you don't want to edit one at a time. You want to edit them all once, and that's it. So if I wanted to change these to green, you know, I would just come in here and double click this and make it green. But before I do that, let me do this. Let me click on that color. Okay, and let me go to my swatches. Where'd they go? Here we go. And let me add that color. So the first thing I do is I add that color. I'm just going to call this yellow. Yellow. Okay. And okay, so I got my yellow in there. So now that I got my yellow in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all of them yellow. So what I do is I come over here and I double click on that. And you see what it does? It actually opens this up. There's your symbol. It's now opening that up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here with my pen tool, or I mean my selection tool. Let me get the color out of here. I don't need the color. I need my swatches, actually. Where's my swatches? Here we go. All right, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on that. And I think that's the one right there. Yes. And what I'm going to do is, this fills forward. I'm just going to click on that, and it went yellow. That's it. That's all there is to it. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to exit out of here by clicking that little arrow. When I exit out of here, the artwork that's on the screen will do one of two things. It will already either have changed to yellow, or as soon as I exit, the yellow will pop into the color. All right. So I go here and see it's already in. That's what's nice about working with symbols. You can, you know, if I had done all these windows with just that one shape, you could do the same thing with these here. You can make one of these because you got the bottom with the little bottom base on it, you know. So, you know, I'll let you make one of them. I'll let you try making one of them, see how you do with it. But the bottom line is, once you make one of these things, you're going to use them. You're going to make a symbol out of it. You're going to use all of them the same way. You're going to place them, color them, and then you'll try to change the color. Think you're ready to do that?
Try.
All right, baby.
Here
you go. Yeah, let me move that thing out of the way so you get some room. You use, I assume you use the mouse. You should, because I can't do it. I can't do it with a mouse. All right, now just remember what you're doing is you're using basic shape to create the window. And you're doing it in as simple steps as possible. When you have something that you don't remember, tell me, and I'll tell you what the step is.
Okay, so I'm starting with a simple shape.
Yeah, rectangle tool.
Okay.
All right.
And now do I have to try to fit this on here?
I would make it as close as you can, but don't worry about it being exact because you can always adjust it. You got to click and hold and drag it.
Okay, so that's what I have to get.
Yeah, you got to click, hold, and drag the shape until you get the shape that you want. You got to do it once because if you okay, you make a sheet. Careful now. Go ahead and do it.
Okay, I'm down here.
Yeah, click and drag. Click, hold. You don't hold the shift down. Just drag it over the top of the window. Make it the size of the window.
There we go.
To where you want. There, that's good.
Okay.
Now let go. There it is.
Voila.
That's all there is to it. Now stop. What you're going to do is get your regular selection tool.
Right here?
Yep, that's the one there.
Okay.
And go to the edit menu. Click on it first. Okay, go to the edit menu at the top. Edit. Copy. Edit. Paste in place.
Paste in place.
Now go over to your toolbar.
All
and
right.
Halfway down the toolbar's here. Halfway down the toolbar on the right side, there's something that has a little arrow with what looks like a box with the anchor points shown. You see it?
Right here.
No, halfway up. On the right.
Oh, sorry.
Come down. Right there. See what it says? What does it say?
Scale tool.
Okay, remember that. Scale tool. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to click on the scale tool.
Okay.
Oh, you hit the wrong one. The one right below it.
Oh, right here?
The lower one right below it. That's it. Okay, now hold
Now
down the shift key, click that center piece, and just drag it up. Click on it and drag it up to where you want the window to be.
I see. Okay.
If you want it a little bit higher, drag it up higher. It's up to you, however you want
it. Right about there.
Okay, so now you can go back in and get your regular selection tool.
All right.
All right, now what you're going to do is you've got your selection. Okay, and this thing is set to 3 pixels. Now here's an important point. Notice how this thing is set to 3 point. Why? Because we were using 3 point there. One of the things that you were asking me was that, do these things have memories? They do. All you need to do, like if you wanted to go in and do something, like say create another window or do something else in this, if all you have to do really is click on any one of these objects, and what it'll do is it'll throw the properties in. So the stroke will be that size. So these strokes are the same size as that stroke. All right, so you've got the top one selected. What color is the window?
The blue.
The shade.
Um,
The shade is blue. So click on the blue.
okay. And on front fill.
There you go. Okay, now what I want you to do is get your regular selection tool again, click on the yellow area.
Okay.
And we don't have any white. So what I need you to do is I need you to open up the color panel.
All right.
Go to the color, go to window. Window.
Wait, window.
Color.
Color.
Yeah. There you go. And click on the white. Just click on the white. There you go.
All right.
Okay, now what you need to do is, here's what I would do. Let me just take this for a second because this is something. What I would do with this is I would close this down and cut this open here. We don't need the swatches we need. Okay, so this is our symbols. We're going to need that. Let me put that in there. I'm just doing a little housekeeping for you. Oh, come on. You are. There we go. Okay, and there's our colors. Okay, this we're using. Okay, so let's see. What was I doing here? All right. Oh, you want to now make that little
the
black thing on the bottle. So go ahead and do that. Here's what you're going to do, though. Since that's black, what you're going to do is look over on those color chips in the color in the tool panel on the left. Go to the tool panel on the left.
Okay.
And see the one that's in the front, which is white. That's your fill.
Right.
Okay. You see the one on the lower right beneath it?
Right here?
No, just beneath that. Just there, right there. That's your stroke. Okay. You're not using a stroke on this.
Right.
You're using a fill. So right up in the upper right corner of that area, you see that little thing that has the floppy arrow, that's kind of
right
curved arrow? That swaps the colors. Click that. Perfect. Now click on that rectangle with white, which is the stroke.
Okay. Right here?
Yeah. Click on it. And now go to right beneath it in the lower corner, that one with the red line. That's the none.
So I'm going to open that up and...
You're just going to click it and you remove that color. So now what you've done is you've set this up to be just a color fill of black.
Okay.
All right. So now you're going to come over here with your rectangle tool, get your rectangle tool and make yourself...
first.
No. You can just get the rectangle tool at this point.
Oh, all right.
Get the rectangle tool.
Right here.
Yeah. And now carefully go over and click and drag and make yourself a black area exactly the way you want it.
All right.
You made a duplicate of it.
I did.
Yeah, hold on. Stop where you are, and let me show you what you can do now. Okay, so you've done this, and you've got a little bit of a problem. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over here with your regular selection tool. And you've got this, see that little spot right there? That's your mistake. So you're going to click that, and you're going to hit delete. Okay? Now, this is how you fix this. You see you've got that shape started, but it isn't exactly right. So what you're going to do is you're going to just use your arrow keys here.
All right.
To move it up a tiny bit, okay? Okay, and then you're going to come over here and maybe move it over because I want it to extend off just a tiny bit like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then you're going to come over here and you see that tool, that's your free transform tool. That's the tool I had you using before. So you're going to click on that and you're going to very carefully drag that corner. Click on it and you're going to drag it over until it just comes off that side tiny bit. I think I'm way off it, actually. Yeah, okay. Now, it might be a little bit fatter than I want, so I think I'm going to come up here and do this and thin it out just a bit. That's probably good. Now, let me see what I got. Okay, so you like that?
Yes.
Okay, maybe it has to come over a tiny bit. I don't know. What do you think? It's your creation.
Yeah, I mean, that's good.
Okay. All right, so now what you're going to do, I'll let you do it from here. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to take your mouse. You're going to start by holding down the Shift key.
Okay.
Shift key. Just hold the Shift key down. Keep it held down. Carefully go over and click on the blue.
Right here?
Yeah. Now go and click on the white. Right. And click on the black. Right. Okay. Now, and you let go of the Shift key.
I did.
Perfect. That's exact. Okay. So you got the rhythm of this. Now, what you're going to do, open up your symbols right there. That's your symbols panel. Great. Now you're going to click and hold on that object you got selected. Click, hold, and drag. Click, hold, and drag it into the panel.
Into the panel.
There you go. Let go. Perfect. Now call that lower window or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Lower window. and make it a, instead of a movie clip,
Make it
an image. No, it's the next one.
Oh.
No, right there. There we go. Graphic. That's it. And you don't have to mess with any other thing. Just hit OK. And now you see how that changes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now what your goal is you want to get rid of all this stuff.
Right.
Okay. So the problem that you have is it's surrounded by a lot of stuff. So you've got two over here. I'm going to let you do them. Let me show you how to do this one, and then you can do those over there. Right. So what I would do is I would carefully come over here, okay, and I do what is called a marquee selection. Marquee selection is what you do to select multiple objects. So I click, hold, and drag down through a number of objects. I'm dragging through all that stuff there, those bushes, the building, and the front of the building, which is that brick color. I'm selecting it. So you see it's all selected? I'm going to go Object, Lock, Selection. That's all locked. The reason I'm doing this is I want to be able to come in here and I want to be able to marquee that. Okay. So you see what it did? Yeah. It only selected that thing. Why? Because they're all protected by being locked. Now hit delete.
And you just hit delete?
Yep, hit delete. Or backspace, same thing.
I'm used to, okay.
Okay, now you didn't get that part. I didn't get that part, whatever. So that one here, what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to use the group selection tool. Now go and click that piece. You got to click on the line of it, the edge of it, because it doesn't think it's got there. Click that. It's, oh, you know what? It might be locked. No, it's not locked. It shouldn't be. What's
saying? Yeah, saying path.
Let me see. Oh, I know what the problem is. Let's go Object, Unlock All. It's part actually Unlock All. It's actually part of the background, and the background was locked. Now try to click on it. It was the background was locked. It's part of the background. Click on that line. Hit delete. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. Now you're going to drag your window in. Click and drag it right in. And there you go. Position it. All right. Now, do you remember what I did to do that?
To use the arrows here?
Yeah. If you want to position it, you can use the arrows to position it.
Okay.
Okay. You remember what I did to get rid of those two?
Well, you had you clicked here. Didn't you have to unlock it?
No, I started by locking it. What I'm going to do is get the regular selection tool.
Okay.
The regular selection tool, and come over to about there. Hold the shift, hold down, not the shift, I mean, hold, go out a little further. Okay. No, you're on it. Click, hold, and drag all the way in until it reaches, no, you're gone too far. You don't want to get over top of those. You want to just get to that brick area.
Right here.
Okay, drag it down. Yeah, the brick area you want too.
Okay.
Bring it in and go down. Don't touch the window. Oh. Go off the window and come down a little bit further. Now, let go. Okay? And you're going to go Object, Lock, Selection.
Locks. Okay.
Object Lock Selection. Perfect. Now what you're going to do is you're going to marquee both of those windows the exact same way.
Like this?
No. No. Marquee them. Go off of them into the brick area.
Okay. And
click and drag through all of it. All of those windows. Just the two windows. As much as you can get. Even the black at the bottom.
Okay.
That's good. That's good. That's enough. Hit delete.
Okay.
Huh. Object, Unlock All. Go to the Object menu, Unlock All. Okay. And now what you're going to do is deselect it. Just click the background.
Right here?
Well, you can click there, but I'd click the background first.
Okay.
No, I mean the background out here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're going to get that tool right there. This is the group selection tool. Those are compound paths. So you want to delete them special. You got to click on that group selection tool. Click on that path carefully.
Right here?
Yep. Anywhere on that path, and just hit delete. And do the same thing to the other. And delete. And drag your two windows in place and place them. And now you've got all square windows.
Okay.
Doesn't matter how you place them, just get them in, and then you can, move them into position. Is that comfortable?
Yeah. Again, like anything else, I'm a pretty quick study. So once I do, the more and more I do it,
absolutely,
the better.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, I
But can you see how this is going to be? Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go in and I want you to change all the screens to green.
All the screens to green.
All the screens going to be green.
Okay.
You can pick the color green, but they all want to be the same color green.
Right.
You show me how to do that.
Okay. So I do a group?
No.
No.
No. Actually, keep in mind that you have symbols and you have instances on your art are instances. The instances are directly connected to the symbol. So if you want to color the instances, what do?
Let's go to the symbols.
Yeah, that's right. So double click on the first window.
Okay.
They'll go to the originals. Yeah, double click. Okay, and now pick a color green to color your shape. Well, first you have to bring your fill forward, and you can okay, and now you can change it to green if you want. Go to HSB.
All right.
Oh, it is no. I'll go to HSB. Yeah, HSB. Now drag the top slider, which is, remember, the hue is color. You want it to be green, so drag it somewhere to get a green that you want. And then when you get a green, when you're in the green area, okay, you're now in the blue area. Go back to the green area.
All right.
Now you can use the sliders to get yourself, because that's your sample. Pick the green that you want it to be.
Okay. And this is the
dark or light, whatever we're going to go. And you're looking at that little sample there to show you what it's doing.
Okay.
When you got it, okay, what you're going to do is come over here and you're going to click on it and you're going to go new swatch. And you just call it green for our purposes.
Okay.
Okay, hit okay. There. Okay, now move that color out of the way. Move that color thing out of the way. You can just click the two little arrows and it'll close up.
All right.
There. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to carefully go in and click on that. Make sure that your color is forward.
All right.
It's forward. Click on that. Yeah, and now you're going to change that fill to that color green. There it is.
Okay.
Now deselect it.
Deselect.
Yeah, just click the background. All right. So that's the way you want it. Go up to the little arrow. Click the arrow. No. The arrow at the top here. See, this is a bread trail. They call it like a bread trail. Sure. So you're going to get out of the symbol now. You're going to go back into there. Oh, look at all done. Now I do the same thing with the other one. Let's see if you can do the same thing with the other one. You actually have the colors. This one will be easier. All you have to do is get your symbol, open the symbol up. Not these. Go in here. Get your symbol. Double click on your symbol. Okay. Go over and click on that. And see, it's blue. Make it green. There you go. Back out. And all green.
Oh, okay.
Cool, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So this is where you're heading. And now the rest of this stuff, we don't have any symbols here. The rest of this stuff is just individual. Yeah, so all this stuff here is like, you're just going to start coloring this. I see you got two things. You have these little black lines. Was your intent that those black lines stay black and then this would be a color?
Yeah, these were just grass-like blades.
So, okay, so I'm assuming that color right there and that color right there essentially would be the same color. All right, so show me how you would make that a green color.
Okay, so
forget about this now. Remember, we're going to make a green color. So you're going to use a fill.
Use a fill.
Yeah, so.
These aren't symbols.
No, they're just pieces. So you're going to double click on that. Let me get this out of your way. Oh, jeez. Too many cables, man.
All right.
Double click on that. Okay, remember? Hue, saturation, and brightness right here. Okay, hue. And let me show you how this works. This is something I didn't explain to you because you need to know this. This is your color picker. This is another variation of your color panel. This is a color picker. What I like about this picker is it gives you all kinds of settings, okay? It gives you hue, saturation, and brightness. It gives you R, G, and B. It gives you the hexadecimal numbers here. And it gives you CMYK. But what's absolutely crazy cool about this is this area right here gives you an interactive HSB. So what that means is essentially here's your hue slider, hue, color, hue. So what you're doing here is you're just dragging this guy around to pick the general hue. Okay, when you reach the point where you got the general hue that you want, okay, I don't know, is that like where you want to go with this?
A little brighter.
You want to go a little bit more green?
Yeah,
like that. Like that. So there's your hue. If I want this full value hue, I'm going to take that little circle there. I'm going to click on it, and I'm just going to drag it over to that corner right there. Now, here is your interactive view of your color. Now, this is something that you don't really need to know right now, but I would probably be a little bit irresponsible by not explaining it to you.
Okay.
There are different color modes. There's RGB, there's CMYK, they're color modes, and they don't match up. There are colors in RGB that you can't create in CMYK. There are colors in CMYK that you can't create in RGB. RGB is what you use for the web. CMYK is what you use for print.
I see.
Okay, so you really need to know those two color modes, because if somebody's buying your art and they want it to be used in print, they're probably going to want the art to be in CMYK. And you can easily create CMYK color. Before the end of today, I'll show you how to do that. We're doing time 55. We've got about an hour left, so we're doing good. By the way, just to stop for a second.
Sure.
How are you feeling so far? Are you overwhelmed?
No.
You're okay?
I mean, you know, like I said, once I start doing
I'm recording this too, so this will go online, and you can go back and look at this anytime you want. It'll be in by the end of the day. Okay, I don't know how good it's going to be, because, you know, it's kind of like you and I discussing, but you should be able to remember.
Sure.
Okay, so we have this color here. These colors, what they refer to is, watch, out of gambit. So what is that telling me? That's telling me that that color, a gambit is a range. And a range is what relates to a color mode. So as I was telling you, color modes don't have the same range. And range means gambit. So that means it's out of gambit. It's out of range. That tells me that if I were to try to print that bright, beautiful green color, CMYK couldn't do it.
Okay.
That's what it would give me. So I have a choice.
So it shows you what
it's showing you, if I want this thing to be used for print, I would click on this. I'm not going to do it, because then I'd switch the color over to there. But I'm just explaining to you, if I wanted this thing to be for CMYK print, I would click on that, and it would adjust the color so it would work for print. If this was going to be used on the web only, this color is probably that color. Okay. Although it does tell me it's out of gambit for that too. So in web color, click to correct. So it's saying that this is a little bit out of range for both. So depending upon what I want to do with this, I would click one or the other.
I would probably do it in the print.
Okay, so I'm going to do that. Click for the print. Now, the adjustment has been made. You see the out of gambit warning went away? Now, here's something really good. Notice that they both went away. So if you like that color, if that color is okay, you know now you're in good shape for both. Okay? These are very small details, but the point is, you should know what this means. I think it gives you a better understanding of what all this is if you know these little things, because that's what you're going to come up and see. And at some point, you might be wondering yourself, why are those things there? And wait a minute, I didn't see them. They're not there now. What's going on? Some of these colors, they won't pop up on. This one, it did. Okay, so now I got that color green. I'm going to hit OK. Or actually, what I can do here is I can click on color swatches. No, I don't want to do that. I want to just go back to cancel this. And let me go back and do it again. Double click on this. Okay, and let me go to that color right there, and let me click on print. They both go away. All right, I'm going to hit OK. All right, now what I'm going to do is, see again, what happened? It went gray. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my color panel. Where is it? Where's my color panel? Window, color. I didn't think I put it away. I guess I did. Change it to CMYK. There it is. There's my color in CMYK. It also pops the color in there. And then I'm going to hit add to swatches and call this grass and hit OK. All right. So there's your color. Here's your swatches. What's this? There's your symbols. We don't need that. All right. So now we have, what happened to these things? We didn't finish them?
I don't think so. I mean, they're just, they would.
Okay. Let me do this.
Okay.
Here's what I want you to do. We have that color yellow, correct? Okay. These are just big windows.
Right.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Let's open up our symbols again. I want you to do this. I'm going to try to let you do this.
All right.
What I want you to do is I want you to make those windows, that bottom part, yellow, and I want you to make those yellow. You think you can remember how to do that?
So they're going to be yellow, and the bottom part is going to be yellow.
Look, if I click on that, look at the center. The little cross is in the center. What does that tell you? It's a symbol. It's an instance, I should say.
Okay.
Instances relate to symbols. Always look for that little thing in the middle. Watch this. I'm going to click on this one in the middle. See it? There's that little cross. That's an instance. So instance relate to symbols. So if you're going to color these things, you're not going to do it here. You're going to do it here.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see you do that. Let's see you click on those symbols and recolor them to their proper color. All right.
Okay.
Now you click on it. And that's right. And then just going to, no, you don't want to do that. Just go right up and click on the yellow in the swatches.
Oh, right. Okay.
There you go. Go to your bread trail at the top and click the little arrow to get out. And you see, automatically done. Now do the same thing. Your symbol is behind the color, behind the swatches, I should say. There you go. Which window do you need to fix?
We need this one.
Nope.
Nope, this one.
That's it.
Okay. And
Double click on it. Double clicking. What double clicking does is it takes that symbol into editing mode. What it does is it throws that image, that symbol back on the page so that you can actually edit it. That's what this is. That's why you got that bread tail up there. What does that say right there? Can you read it?
Lower window.
What?
Lower window.
Lower window. So what it's doing essentially is it's showing you that it is now putting you in lower windows so that you can modify it. So now you have to carefully get the selection tool, tool, and you have to carefully click on the white area. Click on the white area. All right. Deselect everything. Click out to the side. Just click out to the side here in the white. Now go in and click on that lower white. I don't remember whether we grouped this or not. Yeah, I think it's good. Just click on that lower white there, and now change that to yellow. There we go. And now
out this way. And it should be done.
Well done.
Well done.
See? Okay. Yeah. So you see how we straightened out the windows. So kind of remember?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, none of this stuff, the remainder of this stuff, none of this stuff is at this point symbols. This is a symbol, that's a symbol, and that's a symbol. This isn't a symbol. These doors, I don't know, do you want these doors to be made? You want to make those doors, you want to make them correct, so to speak?
Like regular doors?
Yeah, well, no. I mean, do you want to make them like, see how I did this? These are your rendered doors. Do you want to use the rendered doors, or do you want to use
I would use the rendered door just for.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, actually, no. They're kind of wonky.
Cockeyed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this will be a little bit more work, so I'm going to do this one.
All right.
Because this will be a little more work. But
I'm just going to get water. Do you want water?
I'd love a water. That'd be great. Yeah.
I don't know how cold it is, but
that's all right. I'll live through it.
There you go. Yeah, not nice cold, but
it's okay as long as it's wet. All right, now let me do this. Yeah, take a second. I'm gonna do a little bit of house cleaning here. I'm gonna take my swatches and I'm gonna put my swatches over here. I'm going to put my symbols in, and I'm going to bring my color, and I'm going to put my color in. So on the right here.
So this is like you're building your palette. So
yeah, well, what it is basically, these are the tools that you use. This is your appearance, okay? And the appearance is great, but not now because we're not working on things that involve appearance right now. So the appearance could be put away if I wanted to, because I'm not really using it right now.
Okay.
So if I do that, I just drag the appearance out and I delete it. Or, you know, and now if I want to open it, I just go to the window menu and I go to appearance and it comes back up. Okay. So it's no big deal to do this. You just got to remember once you do it where to get it. So I have my layers. We haven't been using our layers yet.
Right.
We have a gradient here. We haven't used the gradient. There's transparency. We haven't used transparency. So these things are stuff that we don't necessarily need. And I don't think we're actually going to get into this stuff right now. So let me get rid of this gradient. We will go into gradients later on, but I'm keeping this as basic as possible so that you can get a hang of this. And then you can move into some of the more elaborate things.
Okay. Yeah, we were doing, even with the art studio, we were playing, I got fairly adept at using the transparency and using the layering. And all
I don't know
that.
what program are you working with?
Lisa, what was it? Art Studio? Lisa, you there? Hello?
I don't know Art Studio. I don't know how different it is. I really have to be totally honest with you. At one time when I was a few years younger, so I also am a teacher, but I'm a different kind of teacher than you. I'm an adjunct at an online university, and I do things like this. And you familiar with Montclair Museum?
Yeah. Oh, no. I lived in West Orange and went to Montclair State, used to pass it every day.
I went to Montclair State too. I almost got my master's degree there, but then I was a dummy and I left before I finished. So now I'm 65 and I'm going in for a master's degree. I'm going to be completing it hopefully within a month. But I should add it when I was 29, you know? Stupid. Well, anyway, up in Montclair Museum, I have a graphic design and a web design course that I teach. They have a place called the Wall School, which is associated with the museum. So I also teach up there. So, all right, where was I? So, all right, so I have these are what we're working with. These are artboards, and we're not really working with artboards either. See, I'm telling you, there's a lot of really cool things that you're gonna really like eventually. It's just got to get used to all this stuff. I don't know anything about, what did you say it was again?
Art Studio.
Art Studio. I don't know anything about that program.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
And it's quick. It became a little obsolete.
Yeah.
For what
it doesn't have enough. It doesn't take you far enough.
Right.
This does. This has everything. I'm telling you. This will have a slightly tougher learning curve, but it's fun. I mean, see, first of all, I know you like doing this.
Yeah. Well,
So I mean, you're gonna be learning on this thing, and you're gonna be seeing yourself. You're gonna be discovering yourself, getting better and better, and seeing your creations come together. And then you're gonna be able to start thinking about what I can do to make things more elaborate, more fun. And this is gonna end up being a ball for you. It's just a matter of struggling through the learning curve to get there.
Yeah.
And it's not even that bad. I'm telling you. So okay. So where was I gonna go with this? I was going to do this. All right. I would like to talk to you about layers. This is another thing that's incredibly important, layers. Right now, we have one primary layer. In Adobe Illustrator, there are two types of layers. And it's a very logical reason that this exists. This thing here is made up of a whole bunch of shapes. And I mean probably several dozen shapes already, okay? And it is all located on one layer. However, you see that little carré there, or whatever that is, that little shape? If you click that, look at all the layers. These are all subgroup layers. So in other words, every single object on here has its own unique layer, but they're all on this one layer. Okay, if I hide that layer, everything goes away because it's all on that layer. If I bring that layer back, so you create layers here. There is a primary layer. Now, if I wanted to, I can also create a subgroup layer, which means essentially I could put an additional layer inside that layer. I hardly ever use these, but I do use these all the time. Okay, so why I'm doing this is because I am going to start editing on this door right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock that layer. By locking that layer, I can't edit this at all. There's nothing I can do with this. I can try to select this thing all night, and none of it is going to be accessible to me because it's locked. It's a very smart way to deal with this thing because, again, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make it so that, you got control. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this layer. I'm going to build that door on this layer. This door, believe it or not, is a little bit more complicated than you might think. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on this. And again, there's probably a number of ways that you can build this door. I am going to build it in probably the most direct fashion that I can. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by, it's all going to be created using basic shapes. That's the first thing. And what we'll do is we'll build one of these guys. And then obviously after we build one of them, we'll make a symbol out of it and we'll put both of them in there. But we keep doing this and do this as much as we possibly can, because by doing that, we have control over all these objects, so that when you go back and you decide you want to make a duplicate object with different colors for whatever reason, you can just go in and start modifying the colors on all your symbols. And instead of having to work through all the different individual pieces, they all pop together.
So this is, you're working, I mean, you locked the original.
Yeah, this is my base layer. This is the layer. This is the first time we've brought out the layer panel.
Okay, so layer number 1.
Right. This is the only thing we had. So this is layer number 1. It's all hidden. That's all there is to it, because it's all on there. Now, if I wanted to, I could click on this, and I don't know what I can do. I can take this thing here. Let me take that sample right there, and let me bring that up onto layer number 2 just to show you. All right. Now I hide that. Everything's gone but that. Why? Because I moved it up onto layer number 2.
So if you wanted to modify that.
Modify this?
I think if you wanted to, and you would put it back on layer 1.
Yeah, I'd bring this back and I just drag it back onto layer number 1. So on layer number 1, what I would do is if I want to modify this thing, I would go into my symbols panel, okay? And I would double click on it.
Okay.
And then I would select my object. And let's say I wanted that to be like a darker brick color. Okay, let's say I want it to be orange, actually. There we go. I want it to be like that. That's kind of a nice bricky color. Let's go up a little bit and let's find a nice brick color. Maybe a little more red. You know, it's brown, isn't it?
It's like a.
I'm looking for a red brick color. Is that okay?
Yeah.
What if I lighten it up a bit? What do you think of that? Good enough for us? Okay, so you see? Now watch what happens when I go back out. See, they've all gone that color. Oh, now, if I don't like that, all I have to do is go Edit, Undo. And see? And then I go back out, and they're all black.
Okay.
So, you know, you can't die. The other thing, too, is if you don't like it, what you could really do is go back in and, you know, now for some odd reason, it seems like I got this thing in here. I don't know why that's in there. What is that shape? There it is right there.
That's what it used to be.
Yeah, but okay, let me see. I guess we didn't throw that one away. Let me come in here and let me just click on this. I don't want that other one clicked. Hold on, let me shift click this. Oh, no, there we go. Delete it. Come on. Okay, let's see if I delete it. There we go. Okay. There was something in there. I just wanted to get rid of it. I know I'm nuts, but I see these things and I see it's still in there. I think what we did is we didn't remove that one. It doesn't matter. All right, so we're going to build this thing. So let's go back to this. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to lock that layer. The reason I'm locking the layer, I want this layer to be there so I can see what I'm doing, but I don't want it to get in my way. Okay, simple as that. All right, so on this layer, layer number 2 is where I'm going to try to build this shape. So this is going to take a number of objects together, and I'm going to play around a little bit and you'll see what happens. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out my basic shapes, because I'll use my basic shapes on this. And what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to have no fill, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the color red for my stroke. Let me see if I can get a better red though. Let's go to HSB. I want a nice bright red so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. Nice bright red. Okay, so now I'm going to have a red color. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag out a shape from my door. There's my basic shape from my door. And I'm going to make it, let's go 3. You like that? It's consistent with the other, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 3. So now what I'm going to do is, so I got that shape. Now this is a stroke. Okay, this is a stroke, and we're going to ultimately need a frame, and we're going to need a frame, and we're going to need a frame. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. This stroke has an interesting property. A stroke is essentially a stroke until you turn it into something else. And believe it or not, you can actually take that stroke and you can turn that stroke into a frame or a fill.
Okay, so the stroke is something within.
Here, look. A better way to explain this. Look, let me go to view, and let me go to outline. Okay, I see that little red thing there.
Yeah.
Okay, that red thing is my rectangular frame.
Okay.
That's showing you the object.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the object is a path with 4 anchor points, making that rectangular shape. Okay, so then we go back to view, and we go back to here, and what this has on it, what that shape, there it is again. See the little anchor points, the little line segments. This has got a stroke on it, a stroke of 3 points, red. And that line sits right in the middle. That's how it works by default. Okay. If I wanted to, I could come over here and I could select this and I could put a fill in it, but I ain't doing that. Now, what I think I'm going to do, because I'm making a door, and I need my door to have these parts. So what I think I'm going to do here to make this work, this is kind of an interesting way to go and see if it makes sense to you. I have this shape, and I think what I want to do is I want to turn that shape into a, I'll show you. Go to the object menu and go to path, and I want to outline the stroke. What that means is it is going to turn that stroke into a box with frames around it. You'll see when I do it. Outline stroke. Now, you see what it is? There are actually now 2 strokes there. There's a stroke for the outside edge of that. This used to be a stroke. It's now an actual frame. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay, so I have that, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to get I'll use the same tool, and I'm going to very carefully come in here to the middle, and I'm going to drag this thing down like this, right down the middle, like to about, hold down the shift key so I get it nice and straight. I want it to be in the middle. Oh, you know what? Actually, better way, delete, better way. Here, I'm going to get my line tool. See, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to actually employ different tools so that you could see how you could work with different tools. Because there are ways there are a number of ways you could do it. All right, so I'm going to just take this and see, I have my, go to the window menu. You see where it says, view, smart guides. Okay, I have my smart guide showing. So what smart guides does is it shows you like where middles and stuff is. So if I come over here with my line tool and I click, and I start dragging down, I can hold the shift key down. This thing will be square. And I come down, I come right down to the middle. And now I've placed a line. And if I click on this thing, I should be able to move it right to the middle. Let's see if I can see that. See, I can't see it because it's probably being covered by the line when the smart guide hits it. So I'm going to guess the middle is right about there. Looks like it's about right. What would you think? Yeah. Does that look about right? Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to select this object, and I'm going to put a stroke of 3 on it. I think that's what I had, right? 3? Yep. All right. Now, this one looks like it's a little narrower. So what I'm going to do, before I do that, remember, this is a stroke. Now, the thing that you have to understand is strokes and expanded strokes or outline strokes are 2 totally different objects. They can't be combined too simply. So if I'm going to be using this line to become part of my door frame, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to turn that into that right there. Okay. Make sense? So I'm going to come up to this is selected still. I'm going to go to Object. I'm going to go to Path. And I'm going to outline the stroke. And there I now have 2 objects that are really those now. They're no longer this little line. They're 2 of them. Okay, they're fills. Look, and see, even that's now got a fill in it. It's no longer a stroke. It's got a fill on it. I could put a stroke on this now, but that's not what I want. Do the same thing. Come over here and click on this, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to hold down the shift key, and I'm just going to draw a straight line right on across there. Okay, and I think maybe I'll move it over to make sure. There we go. I'm in good shape. I think I am, yeah. And then I'm going to come up to my stroke, and I'm going to put a 3-point stroke on that. Actually 2, because that one looks like it's smaller. So I'm going to go with a slightly smaller one across there. That's okay with you? Because it looks like it's meant to be smaller anyway. All right, so I got that. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go back up. This is a stroke. I can't leave it a stroke. In order for this to work, I have to turn it into. Okay, so I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go Object, path, outline, stroke again. So now what I have are 3 objects. Let's see if we go to our layers panel and we can take a look at that. Okay, so you see, watch. Let's hide that layer. Okay, so you see what we have?
Oh, all right.
All right, so this one here, you know what? Watch this. I'll show you a little trick. Click on these 2, and I'm going to go to the window menu, and I'm going to go to align, and I got the align panel, and you see that one right there? Horizontally aligned center. I got 2 objects selected. I'm going to click on horizontally aligned center, and they should move slightly. They did, to align themselves. So now I know that that line's in the center.
And what's that called?
This is the align panel.
Ah, all right.
Okay, there's a lot of panels, there's a lot of things, but eventually when you know all this stuff, you're going to be cooking.
Yeah.
You're going to really be cooking. So all right, so this is my align panel. Did I just put that away? I guess I did. All right, so there's my path. Okay, there's my path, and there's my path. Now, but all of these paths, if I click on this one here, I can come in here and I can put a black line on this. You see? Now, I actually ended up getting white, but that's okay. I just wanted you to see. See how there's a line on that now? Right, that's a path on a path that's been converted into a shape. So that's what's going on there. I don't want that. I'm just showing you that as an example, so I'm going to remove that. This is what I want. What I want to do is I want to turn this whole thing into an object. Now, I don't have anything in here. I can't really fill this with anything. So probably what I would want to do is, let's go back to our original. That hit the wrong thing. Let's open that up. Okay, so what I need to do here is I need to create this at the top. So I'm going to go to the view menu, and I'm going to bring my rulers out. This has rulers. Did your other program have rulers? You remember?
Vaguely. I remember it did have the line.
Okay, so it might have had another method of ruling.
Yeah.
Watch this.
I didn't
though.
use it too often.
Well, the reason that you use it in here is you can bring guides out. Guides are very powerful and very helpful. So if you go to the view menu, okay, and this is, you'll get used to what each one of these panels means, but the view menu in this case is going to enable me to bring my rulers out. So I'm going to show the rulers. Okay, so the ruler goes along the top and it goes along the left. What's nice about these rulers, it enables me to bring guides out. Okay, guides are something that eventually you'll be using a lot too, because they help you to mark places where you want things to happen. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here on the top, and I'm going to click on that ruler, and I'm going to drag a guide out, and I'm going to place that guide, let's say right about there. Okay, so you see the guide? Now, that guide automatically, go to the view menu, go to guides, and that guide automatically locks. Look, see, it's automatically locked. It tells me to unlock the guide. I don't want to unlock the guide because I don't want it to interfere with what I'm about to do. Now, what I'm doing is I'm just giving you an idea how these guides work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can come in here and create a curve. Now, do you want it to be curved, or do you want it to be like drapes where they kind of taper down? How do you want that to be? Just a curve?
Yeah, just a curve.
Oval?
It's almost like a shadow.
Well, let's see if this works out. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get my ellipse tool, okay? And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag an ellipse out, and I'm going to drag it down to about there. I'm going to hold, now watch what I do. I have my mouse, so that means that I can move this ellipse, see? As long as I keep my finger on that mouse, that's an active object. I'm going to move that into about like that, and I'm going to hold the space bar down. Now, when I hold the space bar down, see, I can move this thing anywhere I want to move it. Okay? So I'm actually trying to control this thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it right about there. Let's see, right about there is good. There. Okay? And what I want to do with this thing now is I want to select all of this. And actually, you know what I think I'll do before I do that? Let me move this out of the way, and let me hide this, and let me take this, and let me go into my Pathfinder. This is probably a better way to go. Go to Window Pathfinder. Okay, and I'm going to combine that. And now that's actually one frame. This is no longer a series. This is a you know, a bunch of individual frames. If I wanted to, this is what's known as a compound path. So let me show you what that means. If I take this and I make a rectangle and I drag that rectangle right there and go Object, Arrange, Send to Back, and if I come in here and change the color to say black, okay, see how that's a compound path? That it shows through. It's not necessarily what we want. What we want is we want areas that we can color. Right. Okay, so what I think I would do here is I would select this thing and I would go to Object, Compound Path, Release. See, it's made. I'm going to release that compound path. And you see what it does? It all goes back to just regular shapes. Wow. Now, watch this. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click on that shape and I'm going to make that white. And I'm going to remove that and bring the white forward. Now I'm going to click on this. I'm going to hold the Shift key down. See, again, this is where you try to do things quickly. I got that selected. I'm going to Shift select that one and I'm going to Shift select that one. So I have these three selected. That's white. That's what I want. See that tool right there, the eyedropper? When you were working in the other, did they have an eyedropper?
No.
Okay, so what you do with the eyedropper is you sample something. So I have three things selected. So theoretically, what I'm doing is I'm going to sample something that I want to apply to those other things. So with this tool, I click on this tool. I come over here and I click on that white and see it automatically throws that white in there. Wow. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take this guy and I am going to place this guy in front of that. And I don't remember exactly where it was. So if I can get this thing relatively close, that would be good. Let's bring it down. I think I'm going to bring it down until I hit that there. That's probably good. You want a little more?
That's good.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to open this up. I'm going to open this guy up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide that one right there. Okay. And I think the rest of this, yeah, that's locked. So what I'm going to do with this is I am going to click on this and I'm going to click on those two right there. So I have selected that piece, and this piece, the center piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Window Pathfinder. This is a tricky one. This is a tricky one. So watch what I do. Go to Pathfinder, and up here I can go Unite, I can go minus front. This one, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to divide the whole thing up so that I can recolor some of it and make this thing work. All right, so in this case, instead of doing this up here, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to divide it. What dividing is going to do is going to chop this into bits. It's going to sort of like take a, remember, did you ever watch Saturday Night Live with, what's his name? John Belushi, Samurai guy. Well, he's going to chop this thing up into a bunch of pieces. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw away some of those pieces and I'm going to recolor some of the other pieces and I'm going to end up with a curve. Okay. So I click on this and now it's all chopped up. So here's what I do. I'm going to come in here and to get this to where you can see what's happening better, I'll close this for now and I'll hide this. And I'm going to come in and zoom in on this a little bit so we can really see what's going on. Okay, so it looks complicated. I understand that. It looks a little bit complicated, but I'll try to make this easy. So what I'm going to do is, I don't know whether this is grouped or not. We'll find out. Let's see if it's grouped. Yeah, it is. I think it's, so let's go Object, Ungroup. There we go. Okay, so I know for a fact that I don't want that piece. I delete it. I know for a fact that I don't want that piece. So I delete it. I'm going to go to the View menu to make this a little easier. This is something that you should remember too, because this is in the end going to probably help you sometimes. Okay. And I'm going to go Outline. Okay, so you see why I say this is going to help you is because now you can actually see where these shapes are. These are going to end up being black. I don't have to do anything to those two. They're perfect. This in the middle here, I'm not going to be using at all. So I'm going to delete that, right?
Yeah. Okay,
now this is going to be black, that's going to be black. The rest of this is going to be white. Okay, so let's go back. I'm in pretty good shape, believe it or not, in pretty good shape. So I'm going to go View, Preview, and this is white and this is black. So what I can do here is I'll select the whole thing, okay? This is something I'd like to show you too. I got what's known the Shape Builder tool. Now, the Shape Builder tool is essentially a version of the Pathfinder tool. But watch what the Shape Builder tool does. With the Shape Builder tool, what I can do is I can come in here and I can click. See that part that's highlighted? If I click, hold, and drag, you see how that goes through the sections? Now watch what happens when I let go. They become a solid piece.
Okay.
Now I have that piece and I have that piece. So I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'm gonna say, I didn't want to do that. I want to select this bit here, okay? With the Shape Builder tool, I'm gonna come in here at the bottom, click, and I'm gonna drag up, see? And now I've got two pieces, see it? Okay, now I'm gonna bring this back and let's see what we got. Okay, so we got that. So everything is showing except that frame down at the bottom, which I hid. I'll bring that back. I hope this isn't getting too crazy for you. So this is going to be black. This is going to be black. So let's start off by making that black. Okay, and there's no stroke. So those are black. Oh, I got that. I didn't mean for that to be black. This has got to be white. Yeah. Oh, geez, it's undo paint. So let me see if that's grouped. Yeah, it's. I had it selected. That's all. That's what we want. So that's that. That's that. This guy here gets white too. Yes, with no stroke. Okay, so now we're in business. Now what I want to do is I want to select that frame. Remember, I combined that whole frame. That whole frame is actually one piece. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to make that and swap it around and remove the stroke. And we are pretty much there. Let's go to the View menu and let's fit our board and window. And see, we have our door. See that? Let's go to View, Guides. Where are we at here? Guides, Clear Guides, or hide them at least. There. And now the only thing that we have to do with this, let me zoom in so it's a little bit bigger. There's your door. Here's how I rendered that door. Okay? Now again, I could have done this a lot faster, but I was trying to do it. I can't do it fast because if I do it fast, you're probably going to have trouble as it is following me. But remember, this will be recorded, so you can go back and watch it again. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I just got to put the doorknob in. So I'm just going to come over here, get my circle tool, come over here, and I'm assuming you want a round one.
Yes.
So I'll hold the shift key down, and I'll just drag myself out a knob that's about that big. Is that good enough for you?
Yeah.
All right, so now what I'm going to do is I have my layers locked. Do I? Yeah, let me close that up. Got my layers locked, right? Okay, I'm going to select all of this. Remember, I marquee it. It's all selected. And then I'm going to come to my symbols. And I'm going to click and drag and drop it into my symbols. And I'm going to call this door. Door. And I'm going to change it from a movie clip to graphic because I'm very retentive. And hit OK. Symbol.
Okay.
That's it. Now, drag a door out and put it on the other side.
All right.
You're on the proper layer, so you can just drag it and place it where you want. And then what we're going to do is, oops, yeah, put it wherever you want. You know, you move it down. Use your arrow keys, however you know you feel like doing it. Just get it in the position that you want.
Well, probably a little.
Yeah, arrow key it. Yeah, just arrow key it. It'll probably be easier. Yeah, see, and then just move it to the left. Right. Get used to the arrow keys.
Yeah,
anything that you can do to make things go quicker, that's what you want to get used to doing.
So obviously, converting, I mean, just simplifying, converting into a symbol. I mean, I was watching it construct that thing. I was like, I had to practice that quite a bit. But
it's recorded. You can actually go back in and you can go to that and you can watch it and see what I did. And you'll be able to eventually get it and be able to do it. So that's one of the real nice things about recording this. It's always going to be there.
Okay.
All right. Now, here's what I want you to do.
All right.
I want you to come in here and let's go to layers and we're going to hide that. Now, I'm going to unlock that layer. I want you to get rid of that and get rid of that the way we did it before. Okay. And then what I want you to do is I want you to go back in and I want you to convert that door here to yellow. Okay. So let's do one thing at a time. That's unlocked. This is ready to go. You show me how you get rid of that.
All right.
Remember, you have to have your selection tool or your group selection tool. I think the regular selection tool. You better use the group selection tool.
Okay.
Go get the group selection tool. Remember, they're out here too.
Okay,
all
Um,
So you're just going to click on that frame.
on the frame.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I
Right.
just hit delete.
Go select, deselect. Okay, now click on that frame.
Right on the frame.
Yeah.
I think I
Try hitting delete, see what happens.
All right.
I have a feeling it's not going to work.
I'll do. Okay.
You know what? Work your way down. Click on those yellow pieces. Click on that yellow, delete it. You know, hold down the shift key and select all the other 3 yellow ones and the black one. Just hold down the shift key, click all the yellow ones and the black thing, and delete all of them at once.
Okay.
Click on that little black thing as well. I think you can get rid of that too. Now hit delete. There you go. Now see if you can just get rid of the white ones by doing the same thing. Just clicking on the frame. Click on the frame if you can. Hold down the shift key. Now you got to click right on the frame. You got to be very careful. Slip. Let's see.
Right on the frame.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. Now delete that. Do the same thing. Keep going. Hold down the shift key and click on the frame of the others. Be careful not to hit. You got to hit right on the frame to get that to work. You'll get used to this. You're doing it right. And delete. Now let's see if you can click on just the frame of that black. Try it. Delete. See if that works. Nope. Okay. Edit, undo. We're going to do this a different way.
Undo.
Yeah. Edit, undo. There. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. What I want you to do is see that color selected as fill. Bring it forward. Now, carefully get yourself that tool right there, the rectangle tool. Right. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to very carefully make a rectangle just slightly bigger than that door, and be careful to try to get it nicely placed at the bottom. Bigger than the door. No, no, no. Cancel. You're going to click outside of it, just slightly bigger, a little bit further out. Come out a little bit further. And you got to click, hold, and drag. You got to really be committed to go. Click above it. There. Click, hold, and drag, and that's it. Come all the way down to the bottom and across to cover the entire, covering the entire door. Okay, now there you go. Now you're going to do the same thing to the other one. This is the quick way to do it. Do the same thing to the other one. A little bit bigger. Go outside a little bit. Further over. Yeah. Edit, undo, or delete. Okay. Careful. You got to go outside of it a little bit. Yeah. Click down. Click and hold. You got to click and hold and drag it down. There you go. Come all the way down, and then just cover over the thing. Don't. Yeah. That's a little bit further. Okay, fine, let go. Now, this you can try arrowing it.
All right.
All right, actually, you need to make it a little bit bigger. So that tool right there, get the scale tool.
Right here?
Yeah. And now just very carefully grab the middle one and drag it down ever so slightly. There you go. Okay, now you're going to carefully hold, you're going to get your regular selection tool.
Okay.
And you're going to carefully select the background, just anywhere in the background here.
Right about here?
Yep. Click on it. And then you're going to click on that shape there. Click down towards the bottom. There. Oh, you got to hold the shift key down. I'm sorry. Click on the background now. Okay. And now go over and click on, you got to hold the shift key down. Yeah. Now click on the 2 shapes, the 2 top shapes.
Right here?
No, no, no. Look, let me show you.
Yeah.
Okay. What you're doing, you have 3 shapes here. You have the shape that you created.
Okay.
You have the shape that you created to cover, and you have the shape that you created to cover, and then you have the background. So what you want to do is you want to select all 3 of them. So you're going to hold down the shift key, and you're going to start by clicking this background. Then you're going to click on that shape, see it? And then you're going to click on that shape, see it? So you got all 3 of those shapes. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to Pathfinder right here and click that. Go ahead.
Okay.
There. Okay. You missed a little something up there, but don't worry about that.
Right.
That's not a problem. Just leave it. Ignore it.
Okay.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to come into your layers panel and bring your layers back. And there you have it. Now, these things have been made into symbols.
Okay.
So what I'd like you to do is I'd like to see whether you could actually make those yellow.
Right.
See if you remember how to make those yellow.
Selection tool. Let me see. I'm looking for
Symbols.
symbol.
It's always that little.
The club.
Yeah, it looks like the club.
Okay. And going here.
Yep. You're going to double click it. There you go. And you're going to carefully select those pieces. Let's see. Yeah, they're working. Hold on the shift key. Select those, just those pieces. No. Select.
Oh, right.
You got to select all four of them.
All four of them.
Right. Select them, holding the shift key down. Then you're going to go to the swatches.
Swatches.
And click yellow. Now, what's going on here? Hold on. Let me see. What's going on with this thing? Hold on. Okay. Let's see if that'll go yellow. Yeah, I don't know. Click on the next one and go yellow.
So I have to hold on the shift key, or?
Yeah, click that first. Click on it.
Oh.
You hold the shift key down, click that one, and then click the other two at the bottom. And that one, and then click on the yellow. There. Oh, why isn't it doing it? Hold on. Let me see why this isn't doing this. Let me try it again. All right, I'm going to try it. Hold down the shift key. Click that. Shift. That. I don't know. There it is. It did it. Okay. Now what do you do? How do you get out?
Up here.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
There we go.
Now let's go to the View menu and go Fit Artboard and Window. There you go. And there is your piece of art.
It's a lot better.
Yeah. And then what you would do is you would just continue. Now,
so continue taking like bit by bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would just keep building this. And wherever you have a situation, like for instance, you see your front walk there?
Yeah.
Okay, now you have there two things which I'm thinking are probably light reflecting out through those two front doors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have those things on either side of it, and then those steps, they're going to be a different color. So what I would do, excuse me, I would select these colors. I would do something like this, where I would click on this, hold the shift key down, and then click on that, click on that, click on this one carefully, see? And you can tell when it's properly selected. See what it's doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. And then I'm going to click on this one, and then I'll try to click on the one in the middle. Okay? So now I have all those selected. Now, if you want to make life easy on yourself, and if you think you're going to be changing this, all right, this is also, I guess this is also cement too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a walkway.
All right, there you go. Okay, so now you got all your pieces selected. You're not going to change this, but you're going to maybe reselect this, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's what you're going to do. Go up into the Object menu and go to where it says Group. All right, now deselect it. Click off the background here. Just click anywhere. Now go and click anywhere in that area. You see how it all comes back up? Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to go in and you're going to make a color for that. Go in and get any color that you want for that. You make it.
Okay.
So open that up and make a color. Like I say, I'm just trying to show you how these things get done so you can get this done. You can go back in and tear this apart and do whatever you want with it. That's why it doesn't matter the colors at this point. You're just learning.
Yeah, I mean.
Double click on the fill because that's what you're working with. Double click on the fill.
All right.
Yeah, and then you're going to play around. Remember, we got hue here, saturation, and brightness. So you're going to work in this direction for the brightness. You're going to work in this direction for saturation. Hue is up in that corner.
Okay.
Figure out whatever color you want the cement to be.
Yeah, more or less. It's almost like a dirt path.
Yep. Make it whatever you like the color is going to be. You got to get used to working with this anyway, so doesn't matter. You can always go back in and edit it later. Just play with it and get something. Yeah.
Blender.
Okay, so that's exactly right. Hit OK. Now, remember, it is in grayscale. So you're going to go to the color, which is that right there.
Right here?
No.
Nope, right here.
Yeah. And you're going to change it from grayscale to HSB. That's that little drop down.
Oh, right here?
Yeah, HSB. There you go. Now, remember, you can also modify all of it right here. As it stands right now, that thing is already set up. All right, so what I would do is I would go to my I would go to my swatches panel, and I would click on this and go New Swatch, and then I would, okay. And now you got that color in there.
Right.
Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to create a lighter version of that for this. So what would you think you would do? What would the first thing you would do?
Well, they're already clicked on. I mean, already.
No, they're not. Let me show you. You got to deselect this. You're going after these. You're going after that.
Right.
And that. Now, here's what you're probably going to do. You're probably going to take that color. You're probably going to go into HSB. And you're going to probably make a lighter version of that color so that you get a little bit of that feeling that the light's hitting it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see if you can do that. So you got those selected. You apply the color to it first. No, apply the color to it first.
Apply the color?
Yeah, to that.
Okay.
Apply the color that you use right there. Okay? All right. Now what you're going to do is go to the color. And you're in RGB. You want it to be HSB. That's it. All right. Now you're going to go lighter on it.
Let me see.
You can stop. See it starting to get a little bit lighter. You just have to.
Right. Oh, I have to look at it. I see.
Drag it, and you can drag either one of those two sliders to make it lighter. One or the other. You just want it to be noticeably different.
It doesn't look too different.
And you can always adjust it if you make it.
See this one up here.
No, that's going to change the hue.
That's right.
That'll make it a different color. That's okay if you're going to go that way, but in this case, you're just basically making that slightly different so that you get the feeling that there's a reflection coming off out from those doors.
That's definitely. I mean, that's bright. That's lighter.
Well, let's go and see.
Okay.
You like that color?
Yeah.
All right. Now deselect everything, and you got it.
Yeah. Well.
All right, and really now you've got a lot of work done on this thing, and most of this is done in such a way that you can go in and you can edit major parts of this very quickly and very easily. This background here you didn't do, but if you really wanted to, you could select all of this color right there, and you could even turn that into a symbol. Or better yet, what you could do with that is, let's see if we did it. We didn't. So here's the other thing that you could do. At this point, let's say you're going to change the color of that brick. All right, so what you would do is you would hold down, whoops, what did I do? Oh, I hit it. Let's go edit, undo, Control Z. Okay, and let me back out of here. I didn't mean to do that. I hit the touchscreen. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to select that. I'm going to select that, this, okay, this, and this. All right, and we lost my doors. Let's see. Let's go Object, Group. Okay, so now let's go Edit, Cut, or let's go Object. Hold on. Let's select this as well. Let's go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. There we go. Okay, it's back up. But somehow or other, I lost my doors. So let's see what happened to my doors. Let's go to the symbols. My doors are gone. What happened to my doors? I do not know. I must have accidentally deleted the darn things. So what I'm going to do is delete that, and this, and this, and this. I don't know how I did that, and that. Oops, no, I didn't want to do that. Right, and delete that. Okay, and then you're just going to drag two new doors. This is the nice thing about this is they're symbols. You can just drag two new ones right out there. I don't know. There we go, and you can just place them wherever you want them. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Okay, so you see what I did? I grouped all this. Now, by grouping all of this, if you wanted to change this color, you know, like let's say you wanted to go something a little bit lighter. See, you can go right in and you can change that color, and then I can get back out of here. Okay, so there you go. And as a matter of fact, those doors are there. Those doors are actually there. See that? Control Z. So I think they were just hidden for some reason. Yeah, the doors are actually there. So I got two doors out there. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'll get rid of the top one, and you can position them. You know, just modify them, fix them a little bit. All right, so there's that. Let's see, what else can we do? One more thing, because it's 48 now, 50. Sure. We've got about 12 minutes. Okay. So one other thing that you might want to do is you might want to play with some type. So let's see what happens. Let me hit, this is delete, or better yet, let's do this, edit, undo. Let me come in here and do this a smarter way. come in here. Let's grab on this. Let's create a shape sort of like that.
So you're just going to.
I'm going to get rid of the type.
Okay.
I'm going to get rid of the type if I can. There we go. And let me go. Where's my colors? There we go. I'm going to do this the fast way. There, see, just did it that way. All right, it's not permanently gone. How come that? Oh, we changed the color. Crap. Okay, you know what? Watch. No. Watch. All you do, click on the eyedropper and click on that. Watch what happens. See? It goes right to that color. There's always a way. Now, what you want to do is you want to put, it's harding, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's come over here, get the type tool, and just click, and it automatically puts some type out. So what I want you to do is just, it's selected, just type in caps harding. Or for that matter, whatever you want.
Okay, I don't even know why we pulled the harding, but.
All right. Anyway, and now we're going to get this the regular selection tool. Now, a couple of ways that you could do this. Oops. A couple of ways that you could. Wow, man. There we go. Okay. Probably the best way to do this would be to go to the window menu and go to type character. Whoops. Character. So there's your character panel. Did they have something similar to that in the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it look relatively similar to this?
Yeah. That. I mean, it was. You could change fonts and things like that.
All right. Well, that's what you can do here. So I'm just putting this stuff in here. So I am going to take the word harding, and I'm going to move the word harding into here. Now, one of the things that I probably should do to this, I should also go to the paragraph panel, which I'm going to go up here. This is the properties bar. The type is selected. Whenever you have any object selected across the top here, there's a properties bar, and it usually gives you properties that you can adapt, you know, to the project. So here, this is got the paragraph. I'm going to click on that. What I want to do, this is left aligned.
You're going to center it.
Yeah, I'm going to center it. Okay, so now I got it centered. That's all I needed to do. And I'm just going to kind of walk it over until it's roughly in the middle. And now what I can do is I can start modifying this. And what I'll do first is come in here and I'll start increasing the size. Okay, and I'm going to move it down a little bit. And let's go a little bit bigger. That's probably a good size right there. So there's your size. Now, if you want, you can come in here, and this is called tracking. Did they have tracking? Do you remember that at all?
No, so far it was just like that.
So tracking, what tracking means is that you can actually start putting space between the letters, see, and you can kind of move them out a little bit so that they kind of open up a little like that. Let's move it up a little bit. And then, of course, what you can do is come in here. Oh, and this is something too. You got auto and you got optical. All right, it's a very subtle change. Then the other thing that you could do here is you got tons of type.
Right.
So what I want you to do for the next minute or two is just go in there and look at a couple of different fonts. The samples are over here. If you click on any of them, that's what you're going to get. So look through the fonts real quickly and see what you like about it. I mean, take as much time as you want. I'm not rushing you. Just look through there and see the fonts and see, because there's all sorts of fonts you could use for all sorts of different purposes. And believe me, I don't have all the fonts that there are. These are just what I have. But there's a lot in there. You can pick one that you think would be nice for that harding. It tells you on the left what the name of it is, and it gives you a representative sample on the right.
There we go. Click on it.
There you go. Okay, so now you have that up there, and that's what your piece is beginning to look like. And then what you would do is, you know, this character, if you're done with it, you close it. I don't think you're going to be doing any more type on here necessarily. What you would do is you would just literally continue building your areas. You know, start building your, finish building your, I maybe put, let's see, what green is it? Bright green. Yeah. Put bright green in it. But what I would do is I would come into my color, and again, see, I want to go to HSB. Okay, and maybe what I would do is I would come in here and I would modify that color. See, make it something a little bit different, and then, you know, if I do that, I have to do something over here and something over here. Maybe to be consistent, I would just come over to my swatches panel. And since that's still the color in there, I would just go new swatch and I'd add that color. And then what I would do is click on this, and then I'd hold down the shift key and I'd click on that. And then I would just hit my new color. And now I got a little bit more of it finished. So see, that's basically how you're going to go about. I don't know what the heck that is. Is it upside down turtle?
It was supposed to be a storm grate.
Oh, okay, storm grate. Well, you can then do something with that. And then, of course, you got your flag and your flag post topper. But basically, that's it, you know. The most important thing to keep in mind is that we did do some serious work with the swatches. This is a meaningful thing. You've actually made choices in colors that are going to be used for this piece of art. And you may take this and create another piece of art that's going to be recolored a different way, in which case you would actually duplicate this and then just add some colors and remove these colors. But the bottom line is, when you first open a document, I'm just going to take you all the way back to the beginning. When you go all the way back to the beginning, we create a document. Remember that we got all that in there. You always,
they're the ones that are default.
Yeah, you want to clear them out. You don't want any of them. They really just basically get in the way. So get rid of all that, okay? Get rid of everything, so that when you start building your own design, you can go in and select your colors and save your colors and build your library of colors that you can use to get you where you want to go. And it's the same thing with the symbols. They always come out with those symbols. They're meaningless to you. You don't want them. You want to make your own symbols. So in this case, it's the same thing. You're just going to come in here and you're going to select all unused and you're going to delete them. That's it. These are things that you should be thinking about doing all the time. You also should be, your layer palette should be out, and you should also be thinking about your layer. If you scan a piece of art, which you'll probably be doing original, you know, in the beginning, you'll be scanning your art. You're going to scan the piece of art. You're going to create a layer. You're going to create a duplicate layer. The layer at the bottom is going to be your trace layer, or your original layer. Let's do it that way. O-R-I.
So that would be this, when like
G-I-N-A-L. Yeah, that would be the scan.
And
okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go File, Place. Where the hell are you? There we go. Or File, yeah, Place. Yeah, Place. And then I'm going to click on this. This is your scan.
Right.
And I'm going to hit Place. Okay. So now, there we go. Okay. So that's it. Put it in position here. There we go. So now you've got this in here on the original layer, okay? And you have layer number 2. Layer number 2 is going to be your, well, you don't, at this point, you don't need layer number 2. Layer number 2 comes later when you start building objects and you're moving objects up on it. Right now you have this. I'm going to go File, Save, and I'm going to call this in the same place here. Let's see. I'll just call this, this is your, trace, A-C-E, trace, and hit save. Okay, and hit OK. So now what you have is you have your trace. Let me close this up. You have a trace. You said you have Illustrator, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have your trace, and I'm going to close the trace, and this is this. I'm going to go File, Save, and Save As. Did we name this anything? No, we're going to call this, what do you want to call that? What would we call it?
Harding.
You want to call it Harding? Okay. Where are we at here? H-A-R-D-I-N-G. Only I'm going to call it Harding underscore work. W-O-R-K, because that's the one that we worked on. So we got Harding work and we have trace, and I'm going to hit save. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this, clear clipboard. I'm going to open up, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to, stop recording, all right?